Hello there, and welcome to Science for Sleep. The night settles gently over the quiet wild, and in its stillness begins the soft story of the great cats, the silent rulers of the earth's hidden corners, whose eyes gleam like twin moons in the dark. The world of the big cats is one of power wrapped in grace, of strength expressed through silence, of predators whose movements are as fluid as the wind that brushes the tall grasses of the savanna or sweeps across the rocky slopes of distant mountains. From the frozen cliffs of the Himalayas to the golden plains of Africa, from the steaming jungles of South America to the forests that stretch across the American continents, these magnificent creatures have found ways to survive, adapt, and thrive, each one a living embodiment of balance between beauty and danger. Lions, tigers, leopards, jaguars, cheetahs, and cougars, each tells a story written not just in fur and muscle, but in the slow rhythm of evolution itself, a rhythm that hums softly beneath the surface of the earth, shaping life with patient precision. To listen to their story is to listen to the quiet breathing of the planet, to feel the heartbeat of nature beating in time with your own, slow and steady, guiding you toward rest. The lion begins our journey, the great golden guardian of the plains. His roar rolls across miles of open land, a sound both thunderous and deep, carrying through the air like a pulse from the earth's chest. It is not merely loud, it is an acoustic declaration, a message of territory, of unity, of warning. Within his chest, air pushes through a larynx unlike that of any other cat, flexible folds vibrating in long, slow waves that reach across 5 miles of distance. To hear a lion's roar is to feel it. Its vibration can be sensed in your bones, like distant thunder before a storm. Lions use this voice to find one another, to call their pride together, to remind the world that this place belongs to them. When several lions roar in unison, the sound thickens, overlapping waves creating a chorus that rolls across the plains with the weight of weather itself. Even elephants pause, buffalo turn, and smaller creatures fall silent, listening to that echo of ancient dominance. It is a sound that tells of strength, but also of connection, a family communicating across the wind. The tiger, on the other hand, is a creature of solitude and shadow, moving through the jungles and grasslands with the quiet certainty of one who needs no witness. Each tiger carries on its body a pattern that has never existed before and will never be repeated again. Its stripes, black and bold upon the orange fur, are fingerprints of identity, a signature of the wild. Even the skin beneath holds the same pattern, as though the tiger's essence is written through and through. Those stripes are not simply decoration, they are the instruments of invisibility, breaking up the outline of the tiger's shape in the dappled light of forest and tall grass, turning it into a whisper rather than a form. To its prey, the tiger is not seen until it is far too late. Yet to us, the tiger is a vision of beauty, an artistry shaped by time and necessity. Scientists, entranced by this pattern, use it to identify individuals, mapping their territories and tracking their migrations, building stories from the hidden lives of these solitary kings. Under infrared light, the stripes still appear, proof that this masterpiece of camouflage operates across the unseen spectrums of the world. The tiger's power is not only in its body, but in its patience, in the way it waits, breathes, and becomes one with its surroundings until the moment comes to strike. The leopard, that spotted phantom of the forest, adds another note to the symphony of silence. Strong beyond belief, it can lift prey heavier than itself, dragging entire antelope bodies up vertical tree trunks with effortless grace. It is a feat of pure physics made flesh. The leopard's strategy is simple yet brilliant. By storing its meal high in the branches, it guards against scavengers, hyenas, lions, jackals, that would steal its prize. Up in the quiet canopy, the leopard rests beside its hidden meal, returning again and again until nothing remains. Its muscles ripple like water under light, strength contained within elegance, a reminder that true power often speaks in whispers rather than roars. Watching a leopard ascend is to watch gravity lose its claim, as the animal's body flows upward in a seamless motion that defies logic. The world below remains unaware, and above, in the hush of leaves, the leopard dines beneath the stars. Far across the ocean, deep in the emerald jungles of South and Central America, moves the jaguar, the most powerful of the big cats in proportion to its size. Its name comes from an ancient word meaning, "he who kills with one leap," And that name tells you everything. The jaguar's jaws are built not for tearing but for crushing. With a single bite, it can pierce the skull of a caiman, a turtle, even a deer. Its strength lies in precision. Where lions and tigers suffocate their prey, the jaguar delivers a single, final blow straight to the brain. This method is efficient, quiet, and absolute. Within those jaws are teeth shaped like ivory daggers, conical and deeply rooted, able to exert thousands of pounds of pressure per square inch. In the humid stillness of the rainforest, that kind of silence is survival. Every sound, every shadow is amplified by the closeness of life, and the jaguar, in its golden coat marked with black rosettes, becomes a ripple in the undergrowth, unseen until the moment it chooses to be seen. The forest itself seems to pause when it moves, as if holding its breath out of respect. The snow leopard, by contrast, belongs to another realm entirely, the realm of sky and stone. In the high mountains of Central Asia, where the air is thin and the sun burns cold, the snow leopard drifts through mist like a living ghost. Its fur is pale, dusted with gray rosettes that blur into rock and snow. Everything about this creature whispers of adaptation. Its wide paws act as snowshoes, spreading its weight across powder. Its dense fur insulates against temperatures that would freeze almost anything else alive. And its long, heavy tail curls around its body like a warm blanket when it rests. Even its voice is subdued. The snow leopard cannot roar like its cousins. Instead, it communicates in soft growls, chuffs, and huffs of air, as though even its sound must respect the silence of the mountains. For centuries, it was a myth to those who lived below, a shadow glimpsed at the edge of a storm, a presence more than a sighting. To see one even now is to see a dream, a flicker of motion where none should be. Then there is the cheetah, built not for power but for speed, a marvel of evolution that trades endurance for velocity. Where the lion commands with sound and the jaguar with strength, the cheetah rules the moment between stillness and motion. Its body is a symphony of lightness, long legs, flexible spine, lightweight bones, and semi-retractable claws that grip the earth like running shoes. In seconds, it can explode from rest to over 60 miles per hour, a blur that outpaces thought itself. But this gift comes with limits. The chase burns through its energy like fire through dry grass, leaving the cheetah trembling and gasping once the hunt is done. It is a creature balanced perfectly on the edge between brilliance and fragility. Every pursuit is a gamble, every success a moment borrowed from exhaustion. Yet in its fleeting sprint lies one of nature's purest expressions of purpose. Watching a cheetah run is to witness motion perfected, a dance of life and physics so precise that it seems choreographed by the wind itself. And when it stops, lying panting in the shade, the stillness that follows feels sacred, like the pause between breaths in the heart of the world. Across the ocean again, another cat walks unseen through the forests, deserts, and mountains of the Americas, the cougar, also known as the mountain lion or puma. Of all the big cats, it holds the largest range, stretching from the icy north of Canada to the warm southern reaches of Chile. It is a traveler, a wanderer, a whisper on the land. Unlike lions or tigers, the cougar lives alone, moving through its territory like a ghost, rarely seen, often heard only through its eerie, human-like scream that echoes across the canyons at night. Its adaptability is its strength. It hunts deer in forests, rodents in deserts, and even raccoons on the edge of human towns. Where there is space to move and prey to find, the cougar endures. Its leaps are extraordinary, 15 feet upward, 40 feet forward, muscles coiling and releasing like springs. It survives not through confrontation, but through patience, a quiet persistence that allows it to thrive wherever wildness still lingers. In its silence lies the spirit of the land itself, enduring, resilient, unseen yet always there. Together, these cats form the chorus of the wild's deepest song. Each one represents a different answer to the same question: how does life thrive in a world of challenge and change? The lion teaches of unity, of the power of community and voice. The tiger whispers of solitude and beauty hidden in stillness. The leopard reminds us that strength can climb as well as strike, that wisdom lies in strategy as much as in might. The jaguar embodies precision, the art of the single perfect moment. The snow leopard shows that life endures even at the world's highest, harshest edges. The cheetah reveals the glory of speed and the fragility of brilliance. The cougar teaches quiet endurance, the art of surviving unseen. As we drift through their stories, the world around us softens, the night deepens, the air cools, and somewhere in the distance, the faint call of a wild cat echoes like a lullaby. Their existence is a reminder that the earth still holds mysteries, still breathes in untamed rhythms. The forests, mountains, plains, and deserts are alive with the pulse of these creatures, and in listening to them, we reconnect to something ancient within ourselves, the part that knows how to move quietly through the dark, to listen, to rest, to belong. So breathe deeply now. Imagine the slow rise and fall of a lion's chest beneath the stars, the silent tread of a tiger through moonlit grass, the shimmer of a snow leopard's coat beneath the mountain sky. Let your thoughts drift like mist over the hills. The big cats will keep watch as you sleep, guardians of the night, symbols of strength wrapped in serenity. In their world, every breath is patient, every movement graceful, and every heartbeat in tune with the gentle rhythm of the earth. Rest within that rhythm, let it guide you into dreams where the wild is calm and eternal, and the great cats move quietly beneath the silver light, eternal as the stars above. In the quiet wild where the wind hums across the grass and the moon paints silver patterns upon the earth, the story of the great cats unfolds with patient grace, each detail revealing the careful art of evolution. Among them, lions stand apart as the only truly social members of the big cat family, living not in solitude but in structured companionship known as prides. This rare social design, woven through generations, gives lions a strength beyond the physical, a harmony of purpose. A pride is often made of related females who hunt together, nurture their young, and share the warmth of trust, joined by one or more males whose presence guards the borders of their world. In the open savanna, where danger and opportunity stretch endlessly beneath the sky, teamwork becomes the key to survival. Females coordinate hunts in quiet unity, each move flowing into the next with practiced rhythm, while the males patrol the perimeters, their deep roars carrying across miles as both warning and declaration. Within the pride, bonds are not only practical but deeply emotional. Lions nuzzle and groom one another with an affection that transcends instinct, a communication of loyalty and connection. Cubs tumble and play beneath watchful eyes, learning through mimicry and warmth, and even adult males, often seen as solitary symbols of strength, form lifelong coalitions, brothers in purpose. Beneath their regal bearing lies something beautifully familiar to us, the need to belong, to protect, to be seen by one's own. Their society mirrors our own longing for unity, reflecting how nature, in her quiet wisdom, repeats patterns of connection across species. Meanwhile, deep in the forests and grasslands, another cat moves alone, wrapped in stripes that seem drawn by shadows themselves, the tiger. Those dark vertical lines are not merely painted on fur, they are inscribed into the skin. If one could glimpse beneath the coat, something no kind soul would ever wish to do, they would find the same pattern etched upon the surface of the flesh. These stripes, made by cells of differing pigment, are not just a pattern but an identity, existing at every level of the body. This design, perfected through countless ages, grants the tiger an extraordinary gift, invisibility. In the dappled light beneath forest canopies or among tall reeds by riverbanks, those stripes break the outline of the body into pieces of light and shadow, dissolving the tiger into its surroundings. It is camouflage born of necessity, evolution's most elegant illusion. Scientists have learned to use these unique patterns as natural barcodes, identifying individual tigers in conservation studies, tracing their movements and territories as if reading nature's handwriting. Each tiger carries its history on its skin, its lineage written in black and gold. Some grow to sizes that defy belief. The mighty Siberian tiger, largest of all, once walked through the snowy forests of eastern Russia with a presence so massive that a full-grown male could weigh over 850 pounds, nearly as much as a small horse. And yet, despite this tremendous size, the tiger moves in silence. Its padded feet press into the snow with the softness of falling ash, leaving behind only the faintest trace. Larger bodies conserve warmth better, and the Siberian tiger's thickness of fur and fat forms a perfect adaptation to bitter climates. When such a creature rises on its hind legs, its gaze meets a human's as an equal, not through arrogance but through ancient power. To imagine one gliding through moonlit pines is to remember that the world still harbors greatness beyond human measure. A reminder that there are forces in nature still untamed, still sovereign. All big cats share a gift for silence, a skill written into their very bones. They walk upon their toes, a posture known as digitigrade, balancing their bodies on cushioned pads that absorb each step's impact. Every footfall is measured, precise, and quiet. The ground does not tremble beneath them. Their claws remain hidden, tucked away in soft sheaths, preserving their sharpness until the moment of need. This structure is an anatomical poem. Tendons tighten to extend the claws, then relax to conceal them again, ready for the next hunt. The cheetah, swiftest of them all, breaks this rule slightly. Its claws stay partially extended for traction, gripping the soil as it runs. But for most big cats, these claws are secret weapons, blades kept pristine by patience. The balance is perfect, claws safe when walking, deadly when required. In captivity, zookeepers have found claw marks high above eye level, traces of strength, grace, and calculated motion. Beneath this quiet precision lies a deeper truth. Every part of a big cat's body is tuned for survival, each movement a whisper of intent. Their teeth are equally magnificent instruments of evolution. A tiger's canines, long and curved, can reach lengths greater than a human finger. These ivory daggers are not crude weapons. They are surgical tools built for puncture, grip, and control. They fit perfectly within the jaw's architecture, allowing the tiger to hold struggling prey with strength and precision. Capable of piercing hide, muscle, and bone, these teeth are irreplaceable. Unlike reptiles or sharks that constantly regrow new sets, big cats possess one adult set meant to last a lifetime. If a tiger loses a canine, it may lose the ability to hunt efficiently, its dominance humbled by nature's quiet law that even the powerful are vulnerable. Fossils of extinct cats like Smilodon remind scientists that this lineage of teeth is a bridge across ages. Less exaggerated now, more refined, optimized for a living world that values balance over brute force. And then there is the leopard, master of shadows and silence, whose power reveals itself not in noise but in extraordinary strength. Its shoulders are miracles of muscle and leverage, enabling it to haul prey twice its weight up the vertical trunks of trees. What looks like effortless climbing is in truth one of the most impressive acts of strength in the animal kingdom. A slow, deliberate ascent, every tendon engaged, every claw anchored. This behavior is more than strength, it is strategy. In a world shared with lions, hyenas, and scavengers, the leopard's solution is simple: take dinner where none can follow. Perched high in the branches, it dines in peace, the world below unaware of its quiet triumph. Studies of their muscle anatomy show pulling forces far beyond their body weight. Proof that power does not always roar. It can climb, glide, and disappear into leaves. Watching one vanish upward with its prize feels like watching gravity surrender to elegance. Far out on the open plains, another form of perfection races the wind. The cheetah is nature's sprinting masterpiece, its entire body sculpted for speed. Each part, light bones, long legs, flexible spine, contributes to a system designed to chase the horizon. But the secret to its grace lies not only in its legs but in its tail, that long, muscular rudder swinging behind it. During high-speed turns, the tail counters momentum, twisting like a balancing beam as the cheetah pivots midair. This allows sudden changes in direction so sharp that prey zigzagging across the grass stands little chance. High-speed footage reveals a breathtaking truth. The tail moves before the body, anticipating motion, adjusting balance before each paw even touches the earth. It is instinct at the edge of physics, the language of motion spoken fluently by muscle and bone. The cheetah's dominance is brief but beautiful. Its strength lies in the moments it commands the air, and when the chase ends, it rests panting in the grass, trembling from exertion, a creature both victorious and vulnerable. As the stars rise, the world of big cats glows softly in the dark, and part of that glow quite literally shines from their eyes. The eerie luminescence you see when a flashlight or moonbeam catches them is caused by a thin reflective layer called the tapetum lucidum, Latin for bright carpet. This biological mirror sits behind the retina, reflecting light back through the eye, giving each photon a second chance to be captured by the photoreceptors. The result is astonishing. Big cats can see in near total darkness, their vision twice as efficient as ours in the dim glow of starlight. Those shimmering green or gold reflections that appear in the night are the glimmers of that adaptation, the eyes of the wild staring back at the unknown. Scientists who study the tapetum lucidum have found that its microscopic crystals reflect specific wavelengths, optimizing low-light vision while adding a surreal beauty to the gaze. Imagine the savanna at dusk, a lion's eyes glowing softly as it watches from the grass, patient, timeless, unblinking, the night's first stars reflected in its gaze. Across species, this shared brilliance tells the same story, evolution perfecting the marriage of form and function. Big cats are the sum of millions of years of refinement, silent feet, hidden claws, unbreakable teeth, eyes that see the invisible, and bodies that move with the confidence of nature itself. They are balance incarnate, power softened by grace, dominance tempered by restraint. In them, we find not only the story of predators but the echo of life's persistence, creatures that have learned to move through a changing world without losing their essence. Each heartbeat of a lion, each breath of a tiger, each flick of a cheetah's tail carries within it the wisdom of survival written across centuries. And as you listen to these stories beneath the hum of night, let your mind drift gently, carried by the rhythm of their quiet strength. The wild, in all its beauty, is still out there, breathing, watching, waiting, and somewhere beyond the edge of sleep, the great cats move through the dark, unseen yet eternal, the guardians of a world that never fully sleeps. To the great cats of the world, darkness is not an obstacle but an element, a soft ocean in which their senses bloom like unseen stars. What glows for us in headlights or in the flash of a camera is, for them, simply the reflection of their own chosen world, a shimmer of awareness cast back through their eyes. Their whiskers, delicate yet powerful, read the air like a living radar, feeling every shift, every ripple of unseen motion. Each whisker is rooted deep within the skin, bound to a network of nerves so sensitive it can detect the faintest breeze or the smallest vibration. To a lion or tiger moving through the hush of night, these hairs are more than ornaments. They are guides, measuring the distance to obstacles, prey, or the faintest change in the landscape. When stalking, the whiskers fan forward, testing the air ahead. In the instant before a pounce, they sense position, distance, and impact, relaying that vital information faster than sight. Even a blind cat can navigate the world through this invisible map of air and motion, proving that to them, seeing is only one form of knowing. Each whisker trembles in stillness, a quiet extension of consciousness, an antenna tuned to the pulse of the earth itself. Beneath their graceful exterior lies a skeleton made not for clumsy power but for elegance in motion. Big cats possess a spine so flexible it turns their entire body into an elastic coil of force. When a cheetah runs, its spine bends and stretches like a living spring, propelling it forward in bounds so long that it spends more time in the air than on the ground. The flexibility of tigers and leopards allows them to compress into tight forms, slipping unseen through the undergrowth before exploding into life with terrifying precision. Their shoulder blades float freely in muscle, not bone, allowing a range of motion that would shatter more rigid creatures. Their bones are both light and strong, designed to absorb impact without fracture, their bodies balancing between power and grace like a dancer born of evolution. Each movement, from the low crouch before a leap to the slow arching stretch of a waking yawn, is a masterpiece of physics and instinct combined. Among them, the lion reigns as a creature of sound as much as sight. When a lion roars, the air trembles. The sound can carry for miles, a rolling wave of power that marks the boundaries of kingdoms. Scientists have measured a lion's roar at over 100 decibels, as loud as a thunderclap, as deep as the rumble of distant storms. This immense voice comes from specially shaped vocal cords, flat and square instead of triangular, built to vibrate slowly and create those low, resonant tones. The roar is not just a warning but a language. It binds prides together, declares ownership of land, and speaks to allies across the savannah. When several lions roar together, their voices weave into a single trembling note that ripples across the grasslands, echoing unity, strength, and ancient heritage. To hear it in the stillness of dawn is to feel the heartbeat of the wild itself. But even kings rest, and lions perhaps more than any other. They can sleep up to 20 hours a day, sprawled beneath acacia shade, bellies full, muscles resting from the night's exertion. They hunt in bursts of lightning effort and conserve every ounce of energy in the long, lazy hours between. To a human, their stillness might seem indulgent, but for a predator that must rely on power and precision, it is strategy, a balance of rest and readiness. Within the pride, 1 or 2 lions always remain half awake, ears twitching, eyes flickering, ensuring the safety of those who sleep. Even in their repose, they stay connected, grooming one another, touching faces, sharing warmth. Their social bonds, rare among cats, make them one of nature's most emotionally complex predators. Not far in the family of felines, the cheetah trades the lion's strength for speed. In a burst that lasts barely longer than a breath, it can go from stillness to 60 miles an hour, faster than a car leaping from a stoplight. Every part of its body is tuned for this single purpose. Wide nostrils gulp air, a massive liver floods the bloodstream with energy, and long, slender legs strike the earth in perfect rhythm. Its heart beats so fast it almost blurs, sending oxygen through veins that seem to sing with fire. Yet this gift comes with cost. Within 30 seconds the cheetah must stop or collapse from heat and exhaustion. Each chase is a gamble, a razor's edge between triumph and danger. In those fleeting seconds the cheetah becomes pure motion, twisting and spinning through the grass while its long tail whips behind it like a living rudder, counterbalancing every pivot. Its semi-retractable claws dig into the earth for traction, while the tail keeps its body steady as it turns after zigzagging prey. Without it, the cat would tumble in its own momentum. The cheetah's pursuit is a dance with physics, every flex and flick a dialogue between muscle, wind, and instinct, speed as both art and survival. And then there are tigers, immense, solitary monarchs of shadow and water. Unlike most cats, they adore rivers. In the heat of their jungles, they wade into lakes, their stripes rippling across the surface like golden reeds. They swim with power and grace, their paws spreading wide like oars. In the flooded mangroves of the Sundarbans, tigers glide between islands, silent as drifting ghosts. They cross miles of water in search of prey, often stalking from the shallows, using the reflection of the surface to mask their approach. For them, water is not a barrier but a realm, another world to command. Evolution gave them partially webbed paws and powerful limbs, turning the act of swimming into something effortless and serene. Watching one emerge from a river, wet fur gleaming, eyes unblinking, is to witness an ancient secret rising from the depths. In these moments, the tiger is not just an animal but an embodiment of calm strength, at home in 2 worlds, land and liquid alike. Jaguars, their cousins across the oceans, share this love for water. In the lush rainforests of South America, they slip between rivers like spotted shadows. Their short, dense fur repels water, their muscles heavy and coiled. Jaguars hunt beneath the surface, ambushing fish, turtles, and even caimans, their jaws capable of crushing bone in a single bite. Unlike other big cats who hesitate at the water's edge, jaguars embrace it, blending the precision of a swimmer with the strength of a hunter. Sometimes you hear only a splash, a ripple, and then silence. Nature's quiet reminder that mastery often lies in comfort with the unknown. Farther north, in the high white silence of the mountains, snow leopards curl their massive tails around themselves like living scarves. The fur is so thick and soft that it traps the air, holding warmth against the bitter cold. Their tails can be as long as their bodies, balancing them as they leap between cliffs and doubling as blankets when they rest on snowy ledges. In those frozen heights where few creatures survive, the snow leopard moves with ethereal grace, its gray coat dissolving into stone and cloud. Its paw prints vanish quickly in the wind, leaving behind only mystery, a symbol of wild beauty that survives where the world feels untouched. Leopards, more adaptable and secretive, master the art of stealth. Their bodies are designed for both elegance and strength, with shoulders capable of lifting prey twice their weight high into the trees. They do this not from pride but necessity. On the ground, scavengers like hyenas or lions would steal their kill. So the leopard climbs, dragging its meal into the safety of branches, where dappled light hides it from view. Sometimes they fake sleep beside a half-eaten carcass, feigning indifference until a scavenger ventures too close, and then, in a blur of motion, the stillness shatters. To watch such a creature is to see patience turned into a weapon, a living lesson in restraint and timing. The structure of every big cat, lion, tiger, leopard, cheetah, jaguar, snow leopard, tells a story written in muscle, bone, and instinct. They walk on their toes, digitigrade, so that every step lands in silence. Cushion pads absorb the sound, while retractable claws remain hidden until the instant of strike. The cheetah alone keeps its claws partially extended for grip, a trade-off between silence and speed. In each paw lies the balance between death and grace, claws that can climb, catch, or comfort. Even their teeth, particularly the long canines of the tiger, are crafted with precision. A tiger's fangs can grow longer than a human finger, curved tools of power capable of piercing hide and bone with surgical perfection. Yet they must last a lifetime. A lost tooth can mean starvation. These predators are not reckless destroyers. They are engineers of survival, honed by evolution to thrive within the limits of their environment. When the night deepens, their eyes glow like embers. Behind their retinas lies the tapetum lucidum, a mirror of cells that reflects light back through the eye, doubling their ability to see in darkness. What we call glow is merely the reflection of light returning from this bright carpet, illuminating a world invisible to us. Their vision paints the landscape not in color but in gradients of shadow, motion, and form. Every flicker of grass, every breath of wind becomes a visible map of life. To them, darkness is simply another kind of day. Each of these great cats, from the plains of Africa to the forests of Asia and the mountains of Tibet, carries in its movements a quiet perfection. Their bodies are symphonies of balance, flexible yet strong, light yet lethal, fierce yet beautiful. When they hunt, it is not chaos but choreography. When they rest, it is not laziness but wisdom. And when they vanish into shadow, it feels as though the world itself exhales. For millions of years they have prowled through time unchanged, their patterns of life flowing from generation to generation, a heartbeat beneath the wild that never fades. In the hush between dusk and dawn, one can imagine the gentle rhythm of paws on earth, the whisper of fur against grass, the soft thrum of breath. The great cats are not simply hunters or symbols of strength. They are reminders of nature's patience, of the artistry that evolution weaves into every motion. To watch one move through its domain is to feel the ancient pulse of the planet itself, steady, unhurried, eternal. They are creatures of the edge, between shadow and light, silence and sound, rest and action, living proof that even the fiercest beings find beauty in stillness. And so, as the world drifts toward sleep, the big cats continue their silent vigil, guardians of the dark, moving through moonlit grass and forest pools, their presence unseen but deeply felt, carrying the timeless grace of the wild into every dream. When resting, the snow leopard curls its long, fur-covered tail around its face and paws, forming a cocoon of warmth that traps every breath of heat in the freezing thin air of the mountains. That same tail, thick and heavy with stored fat, is not just insulation but a hidden reserve of energy, a secret store of life for leaner days. When the cat moves, that tail becomes a counterweight, balancing it on narrow ledges, swinging gently to correct every step as it leaps across icy gaps. Its fur, among the softest of any mammal, is woven from dense undercoat and hollow guard hairs that deflect the brutal wind. Early explorers who stumbled upon its tracks high in the Himalayas often mistook them for myths, as if no living creature could belong to such silent heights. Yet every loop of that magnificent tail tells a story of endurance and elegance, written in the language of snow and survival. Cheetahs, by contrast, are creatures of sound and sunlight. They chirp, purr, growl, and yelp, yet they cannot roar. Unlike their lion and tiger cousins, they lack the specialized flexible larynx that allows a roar to roll across the land. Their vocal range is lighter, more expressive, almost delicate. Mothers use high-pitched chirps to call to cubs hidden in tall grass, a song of reassurance carried by the wind. They purr continuously, like their smaller domestic relatives, a soft vibration that seems more like contentment than dominance. Scientists studying their throats found that the hide bone is ossified, rigid, unbending, preventing the deep vibrations needed for roaring. And so, evolution gave the cheetah a gentler voice, one that speaks in friendly tones even as the body beneath it is built for incredible violence. Handlers in captivity often describe their calls as curious, even conversational, as if the cheetah lives between two worlds, predator and companion, its sound a tender contrast to its purpose. It is proof that even in the fiercest forms, nature often hides a surprising softness. Far from the plains, in the dense forests and rugged mountains of the Americas, cougars, also called mountain lions or pumas, sing a very different song. Their eerie screams once filled settlers with terror. Few animal voices unsettle humans like the cougar's long, wavering cry, a haunting sound that echoes through trees and canyons like the voice of a ghost. In the stillness of night, it seems almost human, the wail of a woman lost in the woods. For centuries, stories grew around that sound, tales of forest spirits and banshees haunting the wilderness. In truth, these cries are territorial calls or mating signals, a way of announcing presence across vast distances. The sound can travel for miles, bouncing off stone cliffs and deep valleys, so that no one can tell where it began. Scientists believe that the scream evolved specifically to carry through rugged landscapes where sight fails but sound endures. For humans who hear it, the reaction is instinctive, a shiver of primal memory reminding us that we still live among wild powers older than fear itself. As darkness deepens, the eyes of big cats come alive. Their world glows where ours fades. They see up to 6 times better than humans in low light, a gift born from their dominance of twilight. Their eyes are filled with rod cells, photoreceptors designed for dim vision, and lined with a reflective layer called the tapetum lucidum, which sends unused light back through the retina, doubling what they perceive. This is why their gaze glows like twin embers when struck by torchlight. They can see motion in near darkness, detect the flutter of a moth's wing or the tremor of grass from a passing mouse. The shape of their pupils helps as well. Lions have round pupils, ideal for bright plains, while leopards and smaller cats bear slits that adjust quickly between shadow and light. To them, twilight is not the fading of the day but the awakening of sight. They see in shades of motion, reading a world invisible to us, a world where night is simply another kind of clarity. In the savannas, lions carry another symbol of strength, the mane. Thick, dark, and flowing, it is both shield and signal. A darker mane reveals higher testosterone, stronger health, and a genetic quality that females instinctively recognize. Rivals, too, see the warning and often turn away rather than risk the cost of challenging such power. Scientists observing prides in Kenya discovered that dark-maned males sire more cubs and hold their territories longer. But the mane is more than decoration, it's armor, cushioning the neck and head during violent battles. Yet even power has its price. Under the African sun, the mane traps heat, and in the hottest regions, lions grow shorter or lighter-colored manes, a quiet compromise between beauty and survival. Each mane, in its shade and texture, tells a different story, a dialogue between nature's desire for display and the body's need for endurance. Deep in Asia, tigers mark their domains not just with scent but with art carved into trees. Their territories stretch across dozens of miles, and to communicate ownership, they scratch at trunks and spray scent from glands hidden in their paws. Some of these claw marks appear more than 9 feet off the ground, higher than any human can reach, a message written both for sight and smell. The marks declare not just territory but identity, the tiger's sex, mood, and even reproductive state. Scientists who have studied these signs call them the language of the forest, a script of scratches and scents decipherable only to other tigers. Each claw mark is both warning and whisper, a reminder that the wild speaks in many tongues if one only knows how to listen. Long before these living titans ruled the land, their ancestors prowled ancient Earth. About 10 million years ago, the first true big cats emerged, the ancestors of lions, tigers, leopards, and jaguars. Fossils from that time show the beginning of the pantherine lineage, stronger jaws, heavier skulls, and the flexible larynx that would one day give rise to the mighty roar. They spread across continents as climates shifted, evolving alongside their prey. Their bones record not reinvention but refinement, every adaptation a whisper of experience passed down through countless generations. When you look into a tiger's eyes today, you are meeting a design perfected by time, one that has watched glaciers rise and forests fall, yet remains unbroken. And then there was Smilodon, the saber-toothed cat, the ghost of the Ice Age. It ruled the plains of North America with grace and terror. Its long, curved canines could reach 8 inches, built not for crushing but for slicing with surgical precision. It was not a sprinter but a wrestler, a stocky ambush predator that used immense forelimbs to grapple its prey before delivering a killing bite. Fossils pulled from the tar pits of La Brea tell of their world: giant sloths, bison, mammoths, all fallen to the saber's blade. Yet those blades were fragile, unable to handle the bones of smaller, faster prey. When the Ice Age ended and the great herbivores vanished, Smilodon followed them into extinction. Its reign ended 10,000 years ago, but its story lingers in the sinews of every cat alive today, a reminder of power lost and beauty preserved through adaptation. Modern tigers, despite their grandeur, share a humble ancestor with house cats. Genetic studies reveal that all living felines, from the striped hunter of the jungle to the soft creature curled beside a human hearth, descend from a single ancient line that lived 10 to 12 million years ago. The bond between them is invisible but undeniable, in the way both stretch before sleep, in the softness of their purrs, and the curiosity that flickers in their eyes. Evolution has shaped many forms of the same grace. From the whispering leopard in the canopy to the purring kitten in the window, they all carry within them the memory of wilderness, the echo of padded feet and patient hearts. The great cats of today are not just survivors of time but the guardians of something older, the quiet, enduring artistry of nature itself. That early cat likely resembled a small forest-dwelling predator with retractable claws and keen night vision. Over time, different branches of this lineage adapted to unique niches. Some grew larger to hunt hoofed mammals, while others specialized in small prey. Despite the size gap, domestic cats still display many tiger traits: the slow-motion stalk, the tail flick before a pounce, even the sideways threat display. Watching a kitten practice hunting with a toy mouse is like seeing a miniature, harmless echo of evolution at work, a family resemblance that spans millions of years. Lions and leopards diverged from a common ancestor only a few million years ago. Though lions and leopards seem vastly different, one social and bold, the other solitary and secretive, DNA tells a closer story. Their evolutionary paths split roughly 3 to 4 million years ago. Early fossils from Africa show cats with intermediate traits: long limbs like leopards but broader skulls resembling lions. As climates shifted and grasslands replaced forests, one lineage adapted to open hunting in groups, while the other specialized in stealth and climbing. The result was a divergence not just in body shape but in behavior, a genetic fork in the road that produced 2 of Earth's most iconic predators. Even now, their territories overlap, and sometimes their behaviors blur. Leopards can roar faintly like lions, and lions occasionally hunt alone. Evolution rarely draws hard lines. It sketches possibilities and lets the environment decide which path survives. The cheetah's slender body reflects a completely separate evolutionary path. Cheetahs aren't part of the panther group that includes lions, tigers, and leopards. Instead, they belong to their own distinct branch, having diverged much earlier in feline evolution. Genetic evidence suggests their ancestors emerged more than 5 million years ago, evolving towards speed rather than strength. Over time, cheetahs lost the flexible larynx that allows roaring and traded powerful bone density for lightweight agility. Their long legs, narrow waists, and oversized heart and lungs make them the most specialized sprinters on Earth. Fossil records reveal that prehistoric cheetahs once roamed even Europe and North America before disappearing around the last ice age. The modern cheetah is a surviving fragment of that ancient line, a living fossil of speed. Its grace reminds us that evolution doesn't favor only the strongest or loudest. Sometimes, it chooses precision and timing as its masterpiece. The snow leopard's skull is specially adapted for thin mountain air. High in the Himalayas and across Central Asia, the snow leopard thrives in air so thin it would leave most mammals gasping. Its skull reveals how large nasal cavities warm and humidify freezing air before it reaches the lungs, while broad sinuses increase oxygen absorption. The skull's unique shape also provides attachment points for powerful jaw muscles, giving it the strength to hold on to prey on steep slopes. Even the shape of its chest cavity supports deep breathing at altitude. Scientists have compared its oxygen-binding hemoglobin to that of yaks and Tibetan antelope, all adapted to survive where oxygen levels are less than half those at sea level. The result is a predator perfectly tuned to its realm of cliffs and clouds. The snow leopard isn't merely surviving in thin air, it has turned the edge of the sky into its natural home. The jaguar may have originated in Asia before crossing into the Americas. For decades, paleontologists believed jaguars were native only to the New World. But fossil evidence from China dating to around 2 million years ago suggests otherwise. These ancient cats resemble early jaguars, implying that their ancestors may have crossed the Bering Land Bridge during a period of lower sea levels. Once in the Americas, they evolved into the powerful rainforest hunters we know today. Over time, the jaguar's range stretched from the southwestern United States down to Argentina, adapting to deserts, jungles, and wetlands. Its robust skull and unique killing technique, a direct bite through the skull, may reflect evolutionary influences from its Old World relatives. If true, the jaguar's journey ranks among the most extraordinary migrations in mammalian history, a silent traveler from Asia that became a symbol of American wilderness written into both the land and ancient human myth. Some scientists think cougars represent one of the oldest cat lineages in the New World. Genetic studies show that cougars, or pumas, may trace their origins back millions of years within the Americas, long before lions or leopards arrived from Eurasia. Fossils of their early ancestors appear in North American strata dating to nearly 4 million years ago. Unlike the roaring cats, cougars retain features closer to smaller felines, rounded skulls, flexible voices, and solitary behavior. Their success comes from adaptability. They can thrive in nearly every habitat, from deserts to snow-covered peaks. Researchers believe their ancient lineage helped them endure the climatic upheavals that wiped out so many other large predators. Today's cougars carry genetic echoes of those early survivors. They are not relics of the past but living evidence that evolution's oldest designs can still outlast time, quiet endurance outcompeting spectacle in the long history of life on Earth. The Panthera lineage gave rise to the world's roaring cats. The genus Panthera, home to lions, tigers, leopards, and jaguars, owes its name to a single evolutionary innovation, the ability to roar. Genetic and anatomical studies suggest that all four share a common ancestor that appeared around 6 million years ago. Over time, this group diversified across continents, each adapting its role and physique to different environments. Fossils from Asia hint that early Panthera species may have been smaller but possessed the unique hyoid bone structure that allowed low-frequency calls. As they spread, selective pressures shaped distinct traits: mane growth in lions, stripes in tigers, rosettes in leopards, and powerful jaws in jaguars. The Panthera lineage is still evolving. New DNA research continues to refine how these species split and spread. Their shared ancestry links them not by territory or behavior, but by voice, the deep, resonant signature that defines their family. The ability to roar evolved from a flexible bone in the throat. Roaring is possible thanks to a specialized structure called the hyoid bone. In most cats, this bone is solid, allowing them to purr continuously. But in lions, tigers, leopards, and jaguars, the hyoid is only partially ossified, flexible enough to vibrate at very low frequencies. This flexibility, combined with large vocal folds and powerful chest muscles, enables their deep, rolling roars. The trade-off is that these species cannot purr like smaller cats can. Evolution turned a simple anatomical variation into an acoustic weapon, letting these predators communicate across miles. Scientists studying the physics of roaring discovered that air pressure and vibration synchronize to produce harmonics similar to musical instruments. Every roar you hear is both anatomy and resonance, bone, air, and muscle working as one. It's the sound of evolution itself, shaped into a voice that can move the earth. Each big cat species has its own signature call. Every species of big cat speaks with a distinct voice. Lions roar in rhythmic bursts, tigers in deeper, rolling sequences, and leopards emit a sawing rasp that truly resembles a handsaw on wood. Jaguars grunt and cough in rough pulses, while snow leopards produce soft huffs called chuffs. These differences arise from variations in throat anatomy, vocal fold tension, and lung capacity. Communication is crucial in the wild for marking territory, attracting mates, and maintaining social bonds. Researchers analyzing these vocalizations found that even within a species, individuals have identifiable accents, allowing recognition across distances. It's not random noise. It's structured language tuned to landscape and lifestyle. To us, these sounds might seem primal, but to the great cats, they are conversations, whispers of the wilderness shaped by evolution, time, and purpose. Each sound holds meaning, woven into the rhythm of their environment, carried across forests, deserts, and snowy ranges. Beyond the audible roars and growls lies an entire hidden world of communication. Tigers, for instance, speak in frequencies that stretch below the edge of human hearing, a realm known as infrasound. These low, rumbling tones vibrate beneath perception, traveling through dense jungles, across rivers, and even through the ground itself, reaching other tigers miles away. To nearby animals, these vibrations can be felt deep in the chest, a silent warning carried by the earth. Scientists studying these secret sounds discovered that infrasound helps tigers coordinate movements, attract mates, and defend territories, all without revealing their position to prey. Even humans who wander too close to these invisible messages sometimes report an eerie unease without understanding why. They're feeling the tiger's voice, a communication that moves through bone and soil instead of air. In this hidden register, the forest hums with speech we cannot hear, and among its deepest tones, the tiger's voice reigns supreme. Leopards, more secretive and solitary, speak in a different dialect of the wild. Their primary call is a harsh, rhythmic rasp, often compared to the sound of wood being sawed. It's both mechanical and haunting, a sound that seems half alive and half forged from the landscape itself. When leopards vocalize at dawn or dusk, their sawing carries through the trees, marking territory and reaching potential mates. Each leopard's pattern of rasps is unique, like a fingerprint, a code that tells neighbors who they are and where they belong. The sound is produced as air passes over their vocal cords during both inhalation and exhalation, creating a continuous rhythm that echoes with strange precision. Researchers track these calls with audio recorders, mapping entire leopard populations without ever seeing the cats themselves. The saw call is efficient, haunting, and perfectly tuned to its environment. It declares presence but keeps the caller cloaked, the forest's symphony of secrecy preserved. Lions, by contrast, transform sound into a weapon of unity. When a pride roars together, their voices blend into a single, rolling thunder that can travel more than 5 miles across the savanna. These coordinated roars occur most often at dusk or dawn, when air is cool and sound carries farthest. To hear them is to feel the pulse of a collective heartbeat, a sound that means strength, territory, and belonging. Each lion's voice differs slightly in pitch and rhythm, and together they form a layered chorus, an auditory signature of the pride itself. Neighboring prides often answer back, their roars cascading across the plains in a slow, deliberate conversation that establishes boundaries without bloodshed. Behavioral studies reveal that synchronized roaring helps maintain social cohesion and warns outsiders of the pride's size and alertness. The lions instinctively adjust their timing, their deep bellows rising and falling in harmony. It's not just communication, it's community made audible, the night itself vibrating with the sound of power and kinship. Cheetahs, the quietest of the big cats, turn in the opposite direction. Their voices are bright, high-pitched, and musical, more like birds than beasts. Instead of roars, they chirp. These sharp, fluttering calls are used between mothers and cubs to stay connected through tall grass or when adults greet each other during mating season. Researchers describe the cheetah's chirp as a mix of whistle and songbird trill, light, delicate, and oddly joyful for a predator. It carries surprising distances across the savanna, cutting cleanly through the rustle of wind and insects. The structure of the cheetah's throat explains the sound. Their hide bone is rigid, allowing quick bursts of sound but preventing the deep resonance required for roaring. This limitation became a strength, a perfect adaptation for fast, close communication that doesn't startle prey. The result is an animal that seems to hum with contradictions, a hunter wrapped in grace, whose voice sounds like laughter in the grass. The cheetah's chirp is evolution's whisper of gentleness within speed, fragility within power. The jaguar, deep within the rainforests of the Americas, has a voice that bridges these worlds. Its call, a deep, throaty series of grunts known as a saw, resembles that of the leopard but is shorter, rougher, and heavier with resonance. Jaguars use this sound to mark their presence through the dense humidity of the jungle, where vision fades quickly and every sound is softened by leaves and mist. A male's saw call can travel for over a mile, carrying across rivers and valleys, asserting dominance while summoning potential mates. In confrontations, jaguars release another signature sound, a rapid, coughing roar that bursts like thunder trapped inside wood. It vibrates through the forest floor, a signal of raw power. Every jaguar's voice pattern is distinct, like notes in a private song, allowing neighbors to recognize one another. The forest itself becomes a web of vibrations, conversations carried not in sight or scent but in sound, a hidden dialogue older than the trees themselves. High in the mountains, the snow leopard speaks in whispers. It lacks the anatomy to roar, but it communicates with soft, breathy huffs known as chuffs. A chuff is gentle, a pulse of air through the nostrils, a greeting between mates or a sign of calm between mother and cub. Even in captivity, snow leopards chuff to familiar keepers, a sound of peace rather than dominance. Scientists note that this quiet exchange may be an evolutionary adaptation to solitude, a way to signal friendliness across vast, cold distances without drawing predators' attention. To hear it is to witness tenderness in one of Earth's most elusive hunters, a sigh of warmth in a frozen realm. The chuff reminds us that strength can live comfortably beside softness, that even among predators, kindness finds its place. But the language of big cats is not only written in sound, it is written in scent. Across continents, felines use chemical signatures to tell their stories. Every tree, rock, and path in their territory holds invisible messages left by glands near the face, tail, and paws. These oils and hormones carry astonishing detail, identity, sex, mood, and even reproductive state. A single spray of urine can announce ownership, readiness to mate, or recent presence, readable for days after it's made. To a cat, the air itself is alive with meaning. What humans perceive as wilderness silence is, to them, a dense tapestry of messages, each with a word, each scent a sentence. Researchers call it olfactory correspondence, a communication across time rather than space. Even when two cats never meet, their scents can converse. In this invisible dialogue, conflict is often avoided before it begins. The simple act of recognition keeps peace where claws might otherwise speak. Chemical analysis of these scent marks reveals a complexity that rivals language. Each individual's scent profile is unique, shaped by diet, genetics, and hormonal state. When a lion sprays or a leopard rubs against bark, it's leaving behind a signature no other cat can imitate. Experiments show that big cats can recognize the scents of neighbors and even recall those of past rivals, responding differently based on familiarity. Some scents signal calm, others challenge. For biologists, decoding these molecular conversations opens a new frontier, one that explains how populations coexist and territories remain balanced without constant conflict. Its communication so refined that a single breath can hold the history of a creature's life. The wild, it turns out, is not mute but saturated with meaning. Every breeze that sweeps across a lion's domain carries traces of its autobiography, stories written not in ink or sound, but in chemistry and air. Beyond scent and voice lies a third, quieter language, body movement. Big cats are masters of silent expression, reading each other's posture, tail motion, and whisker position with precision. A forward-angled whisker signals focus or aggression, while flattened whiskers show fear or submission. The flick of a tail tip can betray irritation, while a slow, sweeping motion suggests curiosity or relaxation. These gestures, nearly imperceptible to us, are rich with context to them. Within prides, these subtle cues maintain harmony, letting individuals express boundaries or affection without a single growl. Cubs learn this language through play, watching adults interact, mimicking movements, and testing responses. Slow-motion footage reveals that even minute whisker twitches coincide with breathing rhythms and eye movements, a choreography of emotion played out in silence. This visual and tactile communication completes the trinity of feline expression, sound, scent, and gesture working together as one seamless system. For millions of years, these signals have kept order in the wild, where misunderstanding could mean death. In the stillness of night, when a lion raises its head and listens, when a leopard pauses to chuff softly into the dark, when a tiger marks a tree or a snow leopard exhales into the cold wind, it's all part of the same language. A language not built of words, but of instincts sharpened through survival and serenity alike. Each motion, each scent, each note of sound contributes to the living dialogue of the wild, a conversation that began long before humanity learned to speak, and will continue long after our voices fade. In these exchanges, the wilderness finds its harmony, and the great cats, from jungle to tundra to mountain peak, continue their timeless, wordless conversation with the earth itself. For animals that rely on stealth, silence is safer than speech. Their entire bodies become tools of communication, translating thought into motion. To see it is to glimpse the grace of instinct shaped into language. Every whisker, every tail flick, a sentence in the unspoken conversation of the wild. A tiger's forelimbs are strong enough to break the spine of large prey, and few muscles in the animal kingdom rival the power held within those shoulders. Built for grappling rather than sprinting, their front limbs are packed with fast twitch fibers, thick and coiled, capable of delivering force so precise it borders on art. When a tiger pounces, it wraps its body around its target, momentum and muscle working together to pull the creature down. Claws sink deep, the spine twists, and a single strike can fell a full-grown deer or wild boar. Researchers studying tiger skeletons have found shoulder blades broad as shields and reinforced humerus bones, structures sculpted by evolution for pure leverage. In rare moments caught on film, tigers have been seen breaking the spines of heavy ungulates in an instant, ending the hunt not with chaos, but with clean, controlled finality. It is precision, not cruelty. Each movement is a quiet masterpiece of balance, timing, and restraint. Power delivered with the soft certainty of inevitability. Look closer, and you'll find that their efficiency extends even to the smallest parts of their design. A big cat's tongue, for instance, is a tool of remarkable ingenuity. Across its surface lie thousands of backward curving spines, called papillae, tiny hooks made of keratin, the same material as claws. These microscopic barbs form a perfect natural comb. When a cat licks meat from bone, each spine grips and tears, pulling fibers free like a row of delicate scrapers. The same tool serves to groom fur, remove parasites, and distribute oils that keep the coat waterproof and warm. Under a microscope, each papilla resembles a scoop, curved and sharp-edged, a biological brush perfected through millennia. Engineers have even modeled brushes and textile tools after this design, learning from what evolution refined long before machines existed. In the wild, these tongues are instruments of both hygiene and harvest. A lion can strip a carcass almost perfectly clean with nothing more than patience and the rasping rhythm of its own breath. There is no waste, only the quiet efficiency of a life tuned to its environment. Inside the chest, another miracle hums, the engine of survival itself. Every big cat carries a heart and set of lungs built for sudden bursts of power, for moments when the difference between life and hunger is measured in seconds. Their cardiovascular systems are oversized compared to most mammals, flooding muscles with oxygen at astonishing speed. When a lion sprints or a leopard leaps, heart rates can triple in moments, arteries flex and expand like living conduits, and lungs swell against broad ribs, drawing air in heavy, rhythmic waves. The result is a body that can go from stillness to ferocity in a heartbeat, then collapse into stillness again just as quickly. But such brilliance carries a cost. After the chase comes the panting, the recovery, the long minutes of rest beneath shade or moonlight as the body cools, blood slows, and energy is restored. They are not endurance hunters, but masters of timing, creatures that wait for the one perfect instant to strike. Beneath their calm exterior lies a tension coiled like lightning, patient, measured, and absolute. Among them, the cheetah carries the most specialized body of all, an organism sculpted by air and motion. Its lightweight bones and enlarged nostrils form a living machine for speed. Every contour of its skull channels air efficiently, feeding vast lungs and a heart that can double its output in seconds. During a sprint, the cheetah breathes more than twice per second, each inhalation synchronized with the stretch and compression of its spine. That flexible backbone acts as a spring, propelling the body forward while pumping air in rhythm with every bound. Even its nasal passages are lined with cooling tissue to keep heat from building during the chase. Scientists call this perfection, aerobic architecture, a structure designed entirely around the flow of oxygen. Yet speed is fragile. After a single high-speed pursuit, the cheetah must rest and cool, its body overheating under the strain of its own brilliance. Evolution has traded endurance for acceleration, creating a creature that can brush the edge of physics for only a fleeting moment. It is a living embodiment of the phrase, beauty and brevity, a reminder that even perfection must pause to breathe. Far from the heat of the plains, the snow leopard walks among the clouds, its paws wide and furred like snowshoes. Each step spreads its weight across the ice, preventing it from sinking into deep snow or slipping on glassy rock. Between its toes grows thick fur, nature's insulation and traction combined. Beneath that soft exterior lies a lattice of tendon and muscle built for shock absorption, allowing these mountain ghosts to leap as far as 40 feet between cliffs. When they land, their paws flex and absorb the impact silently, leaving only faint prints in the frost. Tracks found in remote Himalayan valleys reveal a gait adapted perfectly to altitude, shorter strides on steep slopes, longer ones where the ground opens wide. Every step speaks of confidence and care, of a body that has learned to move in a world of thin air and shifting snow. To follow those prints is to follow an artist at work, one whose medium is motion and whose canvas is the sky's frozen floor. Back on the Golden Plains, the lion carries camouflage as subtle as it is beautiful. Its coat, the color of sun-baked grass, is not decoration but design. In the light of dawn or dusk, when shadows stretch long and the air turns amber, a lion lying still becomes nearly invisible, a shimmer of warmth blending into the horizon. Cubs are born with faint spots, a ghost of an older lineage, a hint that their ancestors once lived in denser forests where shadow and light played across their bodies. Those markings fade with age as the cubs grow into the open country of adulthood. Even the texture of a lion's fur serves a purpose. Coarse guard hairs deflect thorns and sun, while the fine underlayer traps warmth during cool nights. In regions with red earth and heavier dust, lions often appear darker, the tones of their fur adapting over generations to match the land beneath them. Camouflage, for them, is not only for hunting but for surviving long, exposed hours beneath a relentless sky. The lion may symbolize courage, but its power begins in patience, in the art of being unseen until the world shifts in its favor. The leopard, ever elusive, takes camouflage to another level. Its rosettes, clusters of dark spots surrounding lighter centers, are more than patterns. They are mimicry of sunlight itself. In the forest, beams of light fall through leaves and scattered patches, dancing across bark and moss. The leopard's coat mirrors this dappled chaos, breaking its outline so completely that it becomes one with the forest's shifting rhythm. Even when moving, the illusion holds. The body dissolves into motion, too fragmented for the eye to follow. Each population has its own subtle variation of pattern, smaller rosettes in dense jungle, larger ones where the forest thins. Infrared imaging has revealed that this camouflage confuses more than sight. It also disrupts heat signatures, masking the animal from both prey and rival predators. Biologists studying these fractal designs find echoes of them in fish scales and snake skins, signs that nature reuses successful blueprints wherever concealment matters. The leopard is thus not just a hunter but a living shadow, the embodiment of invisibility perfected. Deep within the rainforests of the Americas, the jaguar wears a similar pattern, but with a secret of its own. Each rosette bears a dark central dot, a signature unique to its species. This tiny detail may serve as a way for jaguars to recognize one another in the dim green twilight of the jungle, though its evolutionary roots lie in the play of light and leaf. The dense canopy filters sunlight into a mosaic of brightness and shadow, and the jaguar's dotted rosettes mimic that pattern with uncanny precision. Combined with a thicker coat and heavier body, this camouflage turns the jaguar into a ghost among vines and rivers, unseen until it chooses to reveal itself. To glimpse one moving silently through the undergrowth is to see power cloaked in elegance, a predator shaped not only by strength, but by the quiet patience of its forest home. From the savanna to the snow peaks, from the jungles to the deserts, each great cat carries its own form of perfection. Muscles tuned for force or speed, coats painted by light and shadow, lungs shaped for chase or climb, every element tells the same story, the endless conversation between body and world. Their designs are not inventions, but responses, answers whispered back to the landscapes that shape them. In every flex of a paw or flick of a tail lies the echo of adaptation's slow poetry. And as night falls over their domains, whether in the hush of falling snow or the hum of the African dusk, these creatures rest in perfect equilibrium, their breathing soft, their forms still, their strength asleep but never gone, a dream written in fur and bone, carried through time on the quiet wind of evolution. Even genetic analyses confirm distinct pigment-regulating genes responsible for the intricate arrangements of a jaguar's coat. Conservationists now use these rosette patterns to identify and track individuals with photographic precision, proving that no two jaguars wear the same design. Every spot, every dot is a personal signature, a living fingerprint written in gold and black. Tigers, too, carry coats of astonishing variety. Though we picture them as blazing orange with black stripes, their colors shift with the forest's mood and latitude. In humid jungles, their fur grows darker and richer, melting into the thick shade of foliage. In northern forests and snowy regions, it pales to cinnamon and cream, stripes fading like smoke against the white. Some appear nearly golden, others, touched by recessive genes, turn silver blue, ghostly creatures whispered about in old accounts as Maltese tigers. These subtle transformations arise from shifts in pigment-producing cells, tiny changes that ripple through generations. The tiger's orange hue, contrary to popular thought, is camouflage, not display. To deer or boar, whose eyes perceive a limited range of color, that fiery coat blends as dull greenish-brown. Under moonlight, even the brightest tiger becomes a phantom of silver and shadow. Nature's palette is practical first, beautiful by accident. Color serves survival. Beauty follows as a fortunate side effect of purpose. Among the rarest variations of all is the white tiger, a marvel born from a double recessive gene that suppresses red and yellow pigments, leaving black stripes on creamy fur. They are not a separate species, only a chance arrangement of inheritance. In the wild, such a combination appears almost never, though old records speak of their brief existence in the forests of India. Most white tigers today trace their ancestry to a handful of individuals bred in captivity, a legacy that has brought both fascination and concern. Inbreeding has left many with crossed eyes, spinal defects, or weakened hearts, yet their strange beauty continues to captivate the human imagination. To scientists, they are living case studies in genetics, a visible experiment in pigment control and pattern formation across mammals. To dreamers, they are creatures of myth, the ghosts of a gene shining too bright to last, haunting the edge between nature and legend. Lions, meanwhile, have long walked beside humanity in symbol and story. Long before their likeness appeared on banners or coins, real lions pace behind palace walls. From Mesopotamia to Persia and ancient Egypt, rulers kept lions as living emblems of dominion. In Assyrian reliefs from Nineveh, kings are shown hunting them in grand arenas, a spectacle of bravery and control. Egyptian pharaohs bred them as royal companions, linking their strength to the sun god Ra. In Rome, they became instruments of empire, the ultimate demonstration of power in the amphitheater's sand. Even in medieval Europe, where no wild lions roamed, they roared forever in heraldry, their stylized forms representing nobility and valor. Across centuries and continents, the lion's image evolved into shorthand for courage and divine strength. Yet behind that mythology stands a real creature, social, intelligent, vulnerable, whose true majesty lies not in conquest but in kinship. The real lion, resting beneath an acacia's shadow, remains what it always was, a family-bound animal whose roar carries both warning and wonder across the plains. The tiger, too, strides through the myths of Asia as a guardian of balance. In Chinese cosmology, the white tiger of the West rules autumn and represents mettle, courage, and justice. In Indian lore, the goddess Durga rides a tiger into battle, symbolizing strength guided by purpose. Across Southeast Asia, tigers guard the boundaries between forest and village, protectors of both people and wilderness. Ancient stories speak of spirits that take the tiger's shape, wandering between the human world and the unseen. These myths were never mere superstition, they were ecological truth wrapped in poetry. The tiger's role as apex predator keeps ecosystems whole, its presence balancing prey and plant, chaos and calm. To revere the tiger was to acknowledge that life depends upon restraint, that even the fiercest power must serve the harmony of the world. Every legend, every festival honoring the striped cat, carries a quiet scientific wisdom, that nature's order endures only when its guardians are allowed to walk undisturbed. In ancient Egypt, the leopard held a sacred place beside the god Osiris. Priests performing funerary rites wore cloaks of leopard skin, the spots representing the stars scattered across the night sky. To them, this pelt was no trophy, it was a garment of transformation, a symbol of passage from life into eternity. The leopard's grace and stealth embodied the soul's journey through the darkness toward rebirth. Tomb paintings depict these robes in vivid color, each spot like a celestial map. When a priest donned the cloak, he became the leopard, moving between worlds with reverence and precision. This fusion of animal and divine mirrored Egypt's view of nature, that every creature held a fragment of the cosmos, and to understand one was to approach the mystery of the whole. Echoes of this belief still ripple through art and language, where feline imagery whispers of elegance, death, and the unseen corridors of time. Far across the ocean, in the rainforests of Mesoamerica, the jaguar reigned as god and guardian. To the ancient Maya, it was the lord of the underworld, master of night and rebirth. Carved into temple walls and royal tombs, the jaguar symbolized both danger and protection, life's dark twin. They believed that when the sun set, it transformed into a jaguar to journey through the underworld, fighting through darkness to rise again at dawn. Kings wore jaguar pelts to claim divine right. Warriors took jaguar names to embody its strength. Temples dedicated to jaguar deities stood as cosmic gateways, linking mortality to eternity. In the spots of its coat, the Mayas saw the night sky itself, every Rosetta star glowing in the vast black beyond. To them, the jaguar's roar was not simply a call, it was the voice of creation echoing through the shadowed corridors of the world. In the stories of the America's northern peoples, another cat, the cougar, served as teacher and guide. Among tribes like the Zuni and Hopi, the mountain lion was revered as guardian of the north, symbolizing endurance through silence. Legends tell of how humans learned to hunt by watching its patience, its measured steps, and its respect for prey. The cougar's spirit taught balance. Take only what you need, move quietly through the world, and remember that all life must be honored. These tales were not primitive superstition, they were blueprints for sustainability. Through myth, people encoded ecological understanding, the same truths science now rediscovers in data and models. Modern biologists studying predator-prey relationships find these lessons alive in the land's rhythms. When top predators vanish, imbalance follows. The cougar's mythic role as mentor endures as both moral and scientific truth. Survival thrives where humility walks beside hunger. Even the cheetah, slender, silent, and swift, once lived among kings. Long before the age of falcons, ancient rulers of Persia, India, and Egypt practiced the art of hunting with trained cheetahs. Unlike their larger cousins, cheetahs adapt easily to human presence, and when raised from cubs, they can be tamed though never truly domesticated. Royal courts kept hundreds in ornate compounds, transporting them by carriage to open plains for the chase. Released at the signal, the cheetah would accelerate in a blur of grace, overtaking gazelles or hares with breathtaking speed before calmly returning to its handler. The Mughal Emperor Akbar the Great was said to have kept more than 1,000 of these elegant companions. Though breeding them in captivity proved nearly impossible, Their presence became a symbol of refinement, nobility measured not by wealth, but by harmony with nature's precision. Mosaics, manuscripts, and reliefs still bear their image, spotted silhouettes poised beside emperors beneath desert suns, reminders of a time when power was defined not by conquest, but by companionship with the wild. Through all these stories, genetic, mythic, and human, runs a single truth: the big cats have always been more than predators. They are reflections of the landscapes and cultures that shape them, mirrors of both evolution and imagination. In every rosette and stripe, in every whisper of muscle beneath fur, there is history, of Earth's artistry and our endless fascination with it. These animals are not simply creatures of the wild. They are chapters of the planet's living poetry, each one breathing softly in the long night of time, keeping watch while the world dreams. In the hush that lingers between dusk and dawn, the story of the great cats continues to unfold, tracing its lineage through myth, biology, and the quiet evolution of language itself. The word panther, soft and ancient on the tongue, comes from Greek roots meaning all beasts, a reminder of how humans once gathered every untamed mystery beneath a single name. Across centuries, the meaning wandered, changing shape like shadow and light. First a mythical creature with breath so sweet it drew every animal close, later a symbol for the spotted hunters of Africa and Asia, and now a term whispered to describe those cloaked in black, the melanistic leopards and jaguars that slip unseen through the forests. The name carries with it the weight of wonder, proof that language too is alive, adapting and evolving, echoing the endless transformations of the wild. In medieval Europe, where real lions were stories more than memories, illuminated manuscripts filled their pages with imagined beasts, creatures half divine, half moral lesson. The lion, they said, slept with its eyes open, a guardian of virtue and a symbol of resurrection. Artists painted it with golden manes and solemn gazes, not as predator but as parable, the breath of life returning on the third day. Across monasteries and kingdoms, the lion became an emblem of courage, of vigilance, of eternal light standing watch in the darkness. Its stone likeness still guards cathedrals and castles, not roaring now, but resting, its silence older than faith, older than time. Far from those cold stone walls, in the high villages of the Himalayas, another legend walks in silence, the snow leopard, the ghost of the mountains. To the people of Nepal, Bhutan, and Tibet, it is not merely an animal but a spirit, a protector of sacred peaks and pure places. To glimpse one among the clouds is to be blessed, to be accepted by the mountain itself. They say it moves between worlds, half of earth, half of sky, its pale coat dissolving into mist as though the wind had grown fur. Even now, when science has measured its range and conservationists track it by satellite, the reverence remains. Villagers speak softly of it, never in possession but in awe, for some truths are not owned, they are shared with the silence that surrounds them. Since the first flicker of firelight in ancient caves, humans have been painting these cats on stone walls and into their stories, each image a reflection of admiration and fear entwined. From the lion-headed figurine carved 30 millennia ago to the roaring statues guarding city gates, the great cats have stalked our imaginations longer than civilization itself. In every age, they have symbolized power and grace, the strength to take life and the stillness to preserve it. Artists of China cast tigers in bronze to guard the dead. Kings of Africa wore leopard skins as signs of rule, and the banners of Europe bore lions whose eyes watched over blood and honor alike. Even in the modern world, where their habitats shrink and their voices grow faint, their faces still appear in logos, films, and dreams, fragments of an ancient memory our species refuses to let fade. Perhaps it is instinct, something buried deep in the nervous system, that makes us love them still, the pulse of respect that trembles between predator and prey, between awe and humility. Among them, the black panthers move like shadows made flesh. Melanism, that rare gift of darkness, paints their coats in midnight tones, yet beneath the sun, hidden rosettes shimmer faintly like ghosts of the pattern beneath. For jaguars, the gene is dominant, for leopards recessive, two separate paths leading to the same haunting beauty. In dense jungles, this color becomes armor, concealing the hunter from eyes that would never suspect movement until it is too late. Villagers call them shadow spirits, forest gods that vanish into the night, leaving only a whisper and a heartbeat behind. Science explains the genetics, myth explains the feeling. Both are true. For in the hush of the rainforest, when the air itself seems to listen, it is easy to believe that something ancient still watches, unseen. In another corner of the world, under the pale light of the South African moon, move creatures of the opposite hue, white lions, ethereal and almost spectral in their stillness. Unlike albinism, their condition preserves the amber of the eye, the living warmth beneath the pale fur. The color comes from a single recessive gene that filters gold into ivory, and for centuries, local legends called them messengers from the spirit realm. Hunters once sought them as trophies. Now, caretakers protect them as treasures. Though their numbers are few, their presence restores something older than conquest, the quiet agreement between earth and life, beauty and endurance. They walk softly through reserves, neither myth nor miracle, but a bridge between extinction and renewal, living proof that rarity is not weakness but a form of grace. And then there are the hybrids, the ligers and tigans, born only in captivity, when nature's boundaries blur under human curiosity. The liger, largest of all cats, towers over its parents, carrying the sociable calm of a lion and the monumental build of a tiger. Its stripes fade like memories across its golden coat, and its love of water betrays both its lineages. The tigan, smaller and subtler, carries more tiger than lion in its bones, compact yet powerful, a whisper rather than a roar. They cannot exist in the wild, their worlds do not overlap. Yet their existence reveals something profound about life itself, that even where nature draws borders, the potential for unity sleeps quietly within the code of creation. Among the cheetahs, the swiftest of them all, evolution sometimes indulges in art again. Every so often, a king cheetah is born, its coat transformed into flowing stripes instead of scattered spots. Scientists trace this wonder to a single mutation in the gene that guides pigment patterns, a delicate error that turns order into beauty. Once thought to be a new species, these rare creatures move like brushstrokes across the plains, living evidence that even in perfection, nature allows for surprise. Under the golden sun of Africa, their dark ribbons shimmer like ink poured across velvet, fleeting and mesmerizing, gone before you can blink. But beneath the splendor runs a quieter story, one of loss and fragility. Across continents, the great cats face the same invisible enemy: shrinking land, vanishing prey, isolation. Forests are cut into fragments, deserts spread where rivers once ran, and highways thread through what were once hunting grounds. With every division, their gene pools narrow, their resilience thins. Inbreeding brings weakness, disease finds easy hosts. Cheetahs, already with the most limited genetic diversity of all, struggle silently against time. Lions in small reserves begin to mirror one another too closely, and tigers, though fierce in legend, exist now in pockets of forest too small for their stride. Yet hope remains, not in myth but in method. Geneticists trace lineages through DNA, matching mates across regions, stitching the web of life strand by strand. Every cub born healthy is a quiet victory, every new corridor of protected land a breath returned to the earth. So the story of the big cats is not only about power and grace, but about endurance, the slow, patient persistence of beauty in a world that forgets to look up from itself. From the black shadows of panthers to the snowlit silence of leopards, from ancient lions carved in stone to cheetahs streaking across golden grass, they remain the pulse of the wild, reminders that nature's masterpieces are not painted for us, but for the earth itself. And as night deepens and wind moves softly through grasslands and jungles alike, you can almost hear them, the slow rhythm of padded steps, the quiet breath of survival, the distant echo of a roar that once shook the stars and still hums, somewhere, beneath our dreaming hearts. The cheetah's genome tells a story both beautiful and tragic, written in the quiet code of its blood. Scientists have discovered that its DNA shows astonishingly little variation, a genetic echo of a near-extinction event that struck at the end of the last ice age. It means that almost every cheetah alive today carries the same ancient imprint, a reminder of how close they once came to disappearing. Such fragility hides behind the speed and grace we admire. Beneath the golden coat and black tear lines lies a lineage too uniform, a warning written by time. To save them, it is no longer enough to protect individuals. Their survival depends on space, vast, open corridors that connect families across the land, allowing the wind itself to carry their legacy from one generation to the next. Without that exchange of genes, even the strongest will grow weaker, their resilience fading like light through thinning clouds. In the delicate mathematics of evolution, variation is life itself, the invisible thread that keeps adaptation possible. Among the lions, that same thread takes the form of brotherhood. Male lions often form coalitions, alliances that may last for life. Sometimes these partnerships are between a single pair of brothers. In other cases, small groups of relatives join together. They move as one, defending territories that would be impossible to hold alone, roaring in synchronized unison across the grasslands. Their cooperation is not just strategy, it is emotion sculpted into instinct. In Kenya and Botswana, field researchers have watched pairs of brothers who communicate through subtle shifts of posture, through low rumbles felt more than heard, through glances that carry meaning across the savanna's shimmering heat. Their bond is so deep that when one falls, the survivor often lingers near the body, pacing and calling softly as though unwilling to leave. It is a form of loyalty that humbles those who witness it. These coalitions extend the reign of their prides, allowing them to protect cubs and territory far longer than solitary males ever could. In the grand balance of the savanna, power alone is not enough. It is trust, shared and unspoken, that keeps kingdoms alive. Two brothers walking together across the golden plain become more than individuals. They become a symbol of endurance, a living echo of strength through unity. But not all the great cats have endured their histories so well. In the last 100 years, entire subspecies of tigers have vanished from the earth. A century ago, 9 walked the forests of Asia. Now, only 6 remain. The Bali tiger, smallest of them all, once prowled the dense island jungles, its domain no larger than a modern city. The Javan tiger, lean and elusive, disappeared as farms replaced forests. The Caspian tiger, once ranging across Central Asia's reeds and river valleys, was driven to extinction by hunting and loss of habitat. Each disappearance erased not only a population, but a chapter in evolution's story, a unique blend of adaptations shaped by isolation and geography. Yet hope whispers even in the ruins of extinction. Genetic studies have revealed that the Caspian and Siberian tigers were almost identical, cousins divided not by blood but by circumstance. Conservationists now dream of restoring what was lost, of seeing striped shadows once more along the rivers of Central Asia. The photographs and written records of those vanished tigers still remain, their eyes staring back at us from a past not distant enough to forget. Each lost tiger is a wound on the tree of life, a broken branch that still bleeds memory. Across the Indian Ocean, leopards tell a subtler story of change. On islands like Java and Sri Lanka, isolation has worked its quiet magic. Over thousands of years, these island leopards have grown smaller than their mainland kin, adapting to a world with limited prey and confined space. This phenomenon, known as insular dwarfism, is nature's way of balancing equation and environment. Evolution does not waste, it refines. On these islands, smaller bodies mean less hunger, less competition, and greater survival. Historical specimens reveal adults weighing barely half of those on the continent, yet every bit as fierce, every bit as skilled. They hunt monkeys, birds, and small deer with the same patience and precision as their larger relatives. In their miniature elegance lies a truth: power does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers, adapting quietly to fit the contours of a shrinking world. Even at the genetic level, these populations have drifted from their ancestors, diverging thousands of years ago into forms perfectly tailored for their narrow kingdoms. Strength, it seems, is not only in size but in the grace to change. The cheetah's genome tells a story both beautiful and tragic, written in the quiet code of its blood. Scientists have discovered that its DNA shows astonishingly little variation, a genetic echo of a near-extinction event that struck at the end of the last ice age. It means that almost every cheetah alive today carries the same ancient imprint, a reminder of how close they once came to disappearing. Such fragility hides behind the speed and grace we admire. Beneath the golden coat and black tear lines lies a lineage too uniform, a warning written by time. To save them, it is no longer enough to protect individuals. Their survival depends on space, vast, open corridors that connect families across the land, allowing the wind itself to carry their legacy from one generation to the next. Without that exchange of genes, even the strongest will grow weaker, their resilience fading like light through thinning clouds. In the delicate mathematics of evolution, variation is life itself, the invisible thread that keeps adaptation possible. Among the lions, that same thread takes the form of brotherhood. Male lions often form coalitions, alliances that may last for life. Sometimes these partnerships are between a single pair of brothers. In other cases, small groups of relatives join together. They move as one, defending territories that would be impossible to hold alone, roaring in synchronized unison across the grasslands. Their cooperation is not just strategy, it is emotion sculpted into instinct. In Kenya and Botswana, field researchers have watched pairs of brothers who communicate through subtle shifts of posture, through low rumbles felt more than heard, through glances that carry meaning across the savannah's shimmering heat. Their bond is so deep that when one falls, the survivor often lingers near the body, pacing and calling softly as though unwilling to leave. It is a form of loyalty that humbles those who witness it. These coalitions extend the reign of their prides, allowing them to protect cubs and territory far longer than solitary males ever could. In the grand balance of the savannah, power alone is not enough. It is trust, shared and unspoken, that keeps kingdoms alive. Two brothers walking together across the golden plain become more than individuals. They become a symbol of endurance, a living echo of strength through unity. But not all the great cats have endured their histories so well. In the last 100 years, entire subspecies of tigers have vanished from the earth. A century ago, 9 walked the forests of Asia. Now, only 6 remain. The Bali tiger, smallest of them all, once prowled the dense island jungles, its domain no larger than a modern city. The Javan tiger, lean and elusive, disappeared as farms replaced forests. The Caspian tiger, once ranging across Central Asia's reeds and river valleys, was driven to extinction by hunting and loss of habitat. Each disappearance erased not only a population, but a chapter in evolution's story, a unique blend of adaptations shaped by isolation and geography. Yet hope whispers even in the ruins of extinction. Genetic studies have revealed that the Caspian and Siberian tigers were almost identical, cousins divided not by blood but by circumstance. Conservationists now dream of restoring what was lost, of seeing striped shadows once more along the rivers of Central Asia. The photographs and written records of those vanished tigers still remain, their eyes staring back at us from a past not distant enough to forget. Each lost tiger is a wound on the tree of life, a broken branch that still bleeds memory. Across the Indian Ocean, leopards tell a subtler story of change. On islands like Java and Sri Lanka, isolation has worked its quiet magic. Over thousands of years, these island leopards have grown smaller than their mainland kin, adapting to a world with limited prey and confined space. This phenomenon, known as insular dwarfism, is nature's way of balancing equation and environment. Evolution does not waste, it refines. On these islands, smaller bodies mean less hunger, less competition, and greater survival. Historical specimens reveal adults weighing barely half of those on the continent, yet every bit as fierce, every bit as skilled. They hunt monkeys, birds, and small deer with the same patience and precision as their larger relatives. In their miniature elegance lies a truth: power does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers, adapting quietly to fit the contours of a shrinking world. Even at the genetic level, these populations have drifted from their ancestors, diverging thousands of years ago into forms perfectly tailored for their narrow kingdoms. Strength, it seems, is not only in size but in the grace to change. Far to the west, in the tangled green of South America, jaguars follow a similar law of adaptation. The jaguar of the rainforest is not the same as the jaguar of the plains. In the deep Amazon, where trees crowd the light and roots weave a labyrinth beneath every step, jaguars grow smaller, their bodies compact and powerful, designed for stealth among vines and shadows. In the open wetlands of the Pantanal, however, they are giants, broad-headed and muscular, built for wrestling with capybaras, caimans, and even anacondas. Evolution favors no single design. Instead, it tunes each creature to the music of its place. Studies have shown that these differences come from more than diet and climate. They arise from subtle genetic adjustments over countless generations. Yet across all regions, from the humid jungles to the sun-drenched floodplains, they remain one species, flexible, adaptable, complete. The jaguar, more than any other big cat, embodies nature's quiet perfection, strength that bends, power that listens, beauty that fits itself seamlessly into every shadow of the earth it walks upon. High in the cold realms of the Himalayas, where air thins to crystal and the wind moves like spirit, lives the snow leopard, an animal so exquisitely adapted to its world that it seems more myth than flesh. Its fur is a masterpiece of insulation, the densest of any big cat, with up to 12,000 hairs in every square inch. Each individual strand is hollow, trapping air to create a weightless warmth. The coat grows thickest along the belly, nearly 5 inches deep, guarding the core against temperatures that can fall 40 degrees below zero. Under a lens, its texture reveals a secret softness, finer than silk, explaining why legends once called it a creature spun from cloud. Its pale gray coat, scattered with smoky rosettes, melts perfectly into the stone and snow. When storms sweep across the ridges, the snow leopard curls its long tail around itself like a blanket and disappears into whiteness, becoming part of the storm. It is evolution rendered as poetry, an animal designed not to dominate but to belong completely to the cold. Its survival at such heights is not a defiance of nature but an embrace of it, proof that life can flourish even where breath itself hesitates. On the other side of the continent, beneath the hot breath of the African sun, the lion still reigns as ruler of the grasslands. The African savanna stretches outward like an ocean of light and sound, and the lions within it live by rhythm and coordination. Their power is social, not solitary. A pride works like a living machine, its members moving in patterns perfected through ages of cooperation. The lionesses, sleek, silent hunters, spread across the grass in a crescent, communicating through flicks of tail and angle of gaze. When the moment comes, one signals the charge, and the world explodes into motion. Males guard the pride's perimeter, their roars rolling like thunder over miles of open air, marking territory and unity alike. The balance they maintain is delicate and profound. As keystone predators, lions regulate herbivore populations, preventing overgrazing that would strip the land bare. When lions disappear, the grasslands themselves begin to unravel. Shrubs overtake grass, soil erodes, and the living architecture of the ecosystem collapses. A healthy pride is more than a family. It is the pulse of the plains, the sound of Africa breathing. Yet their kingdom shrinks each year. Roads, farms, and conflict push them to the edges of survival. Still, wherever lions walk, the land feels more alive, as though every blade of grass stands taller in their presence. To the east, in forests thick with mist and ancient rain, tigers move like ghosts of fire. From India's mangroves to the frozen taiga of Siberia, they embody the spirit of Asia's wilderness. Each subspecies has carved its identity into the landscape. The Bengal tiger swims through the tangled roots of the Sundarbans, hunting in tidal waters thick with mud and silence. The Sumatran tiger, smallest and most elusive, slips through rainforests where sunlight rarely touches the ground. The Siberian tiger, largest of them all, walks through snow heavy enough to bury the world, its breath rising like steam against a white horizon. Their orange coats, marked with black flame, do not betray them. In the filtered light of the forest, those stripes dissolve into shadow, an illusion of motion hidden within stillness. Tigers rule their domains in solitude, their territories vast and carefully marked by scent and claw. They shape the world around them, keeping prey populations in check, preserving the balance of vegetation and soil. Ecologists call them umbrella species because their protection shelters countless others: birds, deer, frogs, trees, all living beneath their silent guardianship. When a tiger prowls through its forest, the earth itself seems to breathe deeper. Its presence is more than physical, it is spiritual, the pulse of something ancient and enduring. And beyond, In the steaming jungles of the Americas, jaguars once more remind us that silence is its own kind of strength. They move between forest and swamp like living shadows, unseen but always felt. In the black mirror of river water, their reflection flickers and vanishes as if the jungle itself had exhaled them. These cats hunt not by chase but by patience. They stalk, wait, and then strike with a force that can pierce the skull of their prey in a single bite. To the indigenous peoples of the Amazon, they are not merely animals but gods of transformation, symbols of power, rebirth, and the boundary between worlds. Their tracks mark not only paths through the mud but stories through time, legends of respect between predator and man. Even now, as forests fall and rivers shrink, the jaguar endures, adaptable as ever, wearing the night as its ally. Across all these species, lion and tiger, leopard, jaguar, and cheetah, the story is the same: strength balanced by fragility, power tempered by time. They are the great survivors of Earth's heartbeat, but they depend on us now more than ever. Preserving them means more than keeping them alive. It means keeping their worlds intact, the forests that muffle their steps, the plains that echo their roars, the mountains that hide their dens. Each whisker, each footprint, each roar is a fragment of the planet's memory. In saving them, we save the story of life itself, the endless, beautiful struggle to adapt, endure, and remain wild beneath the same ancient stars that have watched them since the beginning of time. In the tropical wetlands and jungles of the Americas, jaguars move like quiet ghosts, their broad paws spreading weight over the soft ground so evenly that even fallen leaves barely stir beneath them. They slip through the shadows with ancient grace, at home both in the dense forest and the dark, winding rivers that cut through it. Unlike most cats, they move comfortably through water, gliding silently beneath canopies of reflected green. The dappled sunlight that filters through the trees paints their coats in shifting patterns of gold and black, each spot and rosette breaking up their outline until they vanish completely into the living tapestry of the jungle. Jaguars are apex predators, silent rulers of their domain, controlling populations of deer, capybaras, and reptiles. Even crocodilian caimans, armored and fierce, can fall victim to the jaguar's crushing bite, the most powerful of any big cat relative to size. Ecologists who follow their secret movements find that jaguars prefer the edges of rivers, where the forest opens just enough for water to mirror the sky, offering coolness and quiet in the heat of the day. They rarely roar. Instead, they grunt softly or release low coughing sounds to speak across short distances, as if the jungle itself has taught them to whisper. Each movement is deliberate, an echo of ancient patience, a reminder that in some corners of the world, silence remains the greatest strength. Where jaguars still roam, the jungle breathes evenly, balanced and complete, every rustle and ripple shaped by their presence, a living testament to how silence can be the most powerful sound in nature. Leopards, on the other hand, are masters of adaptation. Among all big cats, the leopard may be the most versatile, inhabiting deserts, rainforests, savannas, and even the outskirts of bustling human cities. They move like shadows between worlds, comfortable both in wilderness and near civilization. Their secret lies in flexibility, both in body and in instinct. A leopard can hunt insects or antelope, climb trees to stash its kill beyond the reach of scavengers, or curl up in a cool cave when the sun turns the earth to flame. Their spotted coats, patterned like dappled sunlight through branches, make them invisible in nearly every landscape, from golden grasslands to deep, tangled jungles. In urban India, some live astonishingly close to people, slipping down alleyways at night, feeding on stray dogs or livestock, and returning unseen to forest edges before dawn. This adaptability hides a deeper truth. Leopards are survivors of change. Where other species falter, they endure. They adjust. They remind us that resilience is not loud or boastful, it is quiet, flexible, and endlessly patient. A living blueprint of survival, the leopard thrives where others vanish, an unbroken thread of wildness stretched across a changing planet. High above the tree line, where oxygen thins and the horizon meets the sky, the snow leopard reigns unseen. No other big cat lives as high or endures as much. These elusive creatures make their homes in mountains that rise over 18,000 feet, elevations where even eagles struggle to soar and the air holds less than half the oxygen found at sea level. Yet snow leopards move effortlessly, their thick fur rippling like smoke in the wind, supported by deep chests, wide nasal passages, and blood rich in oxygen-binding hemoglobin. Their great, furred paws act as natural snowshoes, carrying them across glaciers and scree fields with ghost-like ease. The landscapes they call home are barren, silent, and unforgiving, cliffs that vanish into clouds, frozen ridges where life clings only in small, stubborn forms. Prey is scarce, and so they roam vast distances following herds of blue sheep and ibex across the shifting seasons. Scientists who've tracked them with satellite collars have watched their journeys stretch more than 100 miles in a matter of weeks, through storms and over summits where even wind forgets its way. They are true phantoms of the mountains, rulers of thin air, surviving in a kingdom of stone and snow that few others can endure. Cheetahs, by contrast, belong to the open world. They thrive where the earth stretches endlessly outward, where the horizon feels close enough to touch. The cheetah's gift is speed, a breathtaking explosion of grace that belongs only to them. On the wide African plains, they move lightly through the tall grass, their spotted coats blending perfectly into the sunlit gold. Each sinew and muscle is a testament to precision. Every heartbeat feels like the ticking of a clock wound tight by nature itself. They stalk silently, crouching low, until the moment comes to burst forth, a blur of motion that turns the air into wind and the ground into rhythm. Their prey, gazelles and impalas, are swift and alert, but for a brief, electric instant, the world becomes a race between life and hunger. Yet for all their perfection, cheetahs live on the edge of fragility. Their specialization, the gift of speed, limits them in other ways. They are not built for fighting or endurance, and as the open lands give way to farms and roads, their realm shrinks with every passing year. Still, to watch a cheetah run is to witness pure movement, an expression of nature's fleeting beauty, the living embodiment of grace that vanishes almost as soon as it begins. Across the vast Americas, another cat thrives quietly, the cougar, known by many names, puma, mountain lion, panther. No other big cat spans as many habitats as this one. From the frozen peaks of Canada to the deserts of Patagonia, cougars have mastered nearly every landscape they touch. Their secret, like the leopards, lies in adaptability. They hunt deer in forests, ambush guanacos on windswept plains, and survive on hares or porcupines when larger prey disappears. Unlike lions or tigers, they live and hunt alone, needing no pride or pack, only silence and patience. Once, their range covered nearly every part of the Americas. Even now, they are quietly returning to regions long thought empty of predators, reclaiming mountains and valleys with the same quiet persistence that defines their nature. In the United States, cougars have begun to recolonize the Midwest, proving that when given space, the wild remembers how to heal. They are not creatures of dominance, but of balance, moving lightly across the map, reminders that survival belongs to those who listen more than they roar. And together, all big cats shape the ecosystems they inhabit. Each one, from tiger to jaguar, serves as a keystone species, a guardian of balance. They keep prey populations steady, removing the weak and the old, ensuring that the forest, the plain, and the river remain in harmony. Lions keep Africa's herbivores from stripping the savannas bare. Tigers in Asia regulate deer and boar, giving forests time to regenerate. Where these predators disappear, imbalance follows. Prey multiplies unchecked, vegetation thins, and rivers begin to change their courses. Scientists have watched entire landscapes recover after big cats were reintroduced, trees regrowing, rivers healing, biodiversity returning. The presence of a predator reshapes the land itself, reminding us that every ecosystem is a delicate equation of fear and peace, of chase and calm. When they vanish, silence grows, but it is an unnatural quiet, one that signals loss. Without them, the world begins to unravel. This ripple effect, known as a trophic cascade, reveals how deeply life is interwoven. When tigers were wiped out from parts of Asia, deer populations exploded, stripping forests bare. When lions declined in Africa, hyenas and baboons surged, unsettling the natural order and bringing conflict with humans. Yet hope remains, for where big cats return, life returns with them. Rewilding projects across India, Nepal, and Africa have shown how even the presence of a few apex predators can change everything. Vegetation rebounds, prey behavior normalizes, and rivers begin to flow more steadily. It's as if the land itself exhales in relief at their return. The loss of big cats is not merely the absence of beauty or power, it is the unraveling of structure, the silencing of the wild's deepest rhythm. They are both symbols and systems, vital and ancient, their roars and footsteps the heartbeat of the planet itself. Ecologists often call them indicator species, meaning their survival reflects the health of everything beneath them. A thriving tiger means a thriving forest. Lions on the plains mean balanced herds and open skies. Protecting them means protecting everything smaller, everything quieter, everything unseen. Conservationists study their numbers like doctors reading the pulse of the earth. When populations fall, it signals sickness, deforestation, poaching, climate imbalance. Saving a single big cat species often means saving entire landscapes, entire chains of life. Today, fewer than 4,000 wild tigers remain. Across Asia, the echo of their roar has grown heartbreakingly rare. Once ranging from Turkey to the Pacific, they now survive in scattered fragments, tiny pockets of wilderness that cling to existence amid sprawling human expansion. Their decline has been driven by deforestation, poaching, and the illegal wildlife trade, yet there is light in the darkness. India's Project Tiger, launched decades ago, has helped double populations in several reserves. In Nepal and Bhutan, community-led conservation and relentless patrolling are bringing tigers back to lands that once seemed lost. Every surviving tiger is a victory, a living testament to patience, protection, and hope. Camera traps still occasionally capture their image, a flash of stripes, a golden gaze in the moonlight, proof that the fire-striped hunter still walks the earth. That faint heartbeat of wilderness continues to pulse quietly, refusing to fade. Lions too have faced steep decline. Their numbers have fallen by nearly half in recent decades. Once spread across vast regions of Africa, they now occupy only small fractions of their former range. Yet even as their territories shrink, their presence still defines the rhythm of the savanna. The low rumble of a lion's roar can travel for miles, rolling like thunder through the grasslands, a sound that has shaped the very soul of Africa for millennia. Where lions still reign, herds move carefully, trees grow stronger, and the balance of life holds steady. In the end, all big cats, tigers, lions, leopards, jaguars, cheetahs, cougars, snow leopards, share a single thread of destiny. They are the guardians of balance, the quiet architects of wild harmony. They remind us that strength can be silent, that grace can endure hardship, and that the world still breathes through the movements of its oldest hunters. When they walk, the earth remembers. When they vanish, the silence they leave behind is louder than any roar. Somewhere, in a jungle, a desert, or upon a cold mountain ridge, a big cat moves unseen through the night, the soft sound of its steps weaving once more the ancient rhythm of the wild. A rhythm that, if we listen closely, might lull us gently into dreams of a world still untamed. In just half a century, Africa's lion population has fallen by nearly half. Once roaming freely across the continent and stretching into the Middle East, lions now inhabit less than a tenth of their former range. Habitat loss, conflict with humans, and the relentless shadow of poaching have carved away their kingdom. Yet hope endures in the form of vast, cross-border conservation efforts such as the Kavango Zambezi Transfrontier Park, an immense protected corridor that allows prides to move safely between countries. Here, technology and tradition meet. Satellite collars track their migrations, while communities on the ground use early warning systems to protect livestock and prevent retaliation. Conservationists have learned that coexistence is the only lasting path forward, helping people and predators share the same landscapes without competition or fear. Each surviving pride carries the ancient rhythm of the savanna forward, a heartbeat of Africa itself that reminds us that saving lions is not merely about protecting symbols of power but preserving the pulse of the living land. Across the globe, new habitat corridors are being built to reconnect fragmented populations of big cats. As cities expand and roads slice through wilderness, many predators find themselves trapped on shrinking islands of land, unable to wander or breed freely. Without safe passage between territories, inbreeding and starvation can quietly unravel even strong populations. To counter this, conservationists are creating green lifelines, stretches of protected land, underpasses, and elevated bridges that allow animals to cross safely. In India, corridors now link once isolated tiger reserves, letting adults find mates and expand their territories without stepping into danger. In Kenya, similar paths weave through farmland, guiding lions and leopards across vast savannas without conflict. Even in North America, hidden beneath highways, underpasses and wildlife bridges have helped cougars reclaim their ancestral trails through the Rocky Mountains. These corridors act like veins through which the wild breathes again, restoring the flow of life and connection that sustains evolution itself. When scientists track the first animal to cross one, a single paw print in fresh soil, it becomes more than data. It is the moment when broken worlds begin to heal. Deep in forgotten forests, camera traps are capturing miracles. These silent watchers, triggered only by motion, have photographed big cats long believed to be extinct. An Indo-Chinese leopard in Cambodia. A tiger wandering through a forest once written off as empty. Each photo arrives like a heartbeat from the unseen world, a glinting eye in the infrared glow, a ghostly shape emerging from darkness. Software now analyzes the patterns of stripes and spots in each image, comparing them to databases that reveal individual identities and lineages. Entire populations have been rediscovered this way, prompting urgent protection before they disappear again. Each blurred image is proof that the world still holds secrets, that even now, mystery walks quietly through the leaves. The old truth remains: absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. And in this digital age, that truth feels like a breath of magic, the wild reminding us it still has corners that defy the map. In the fight against extinction, technology has become both shield and sentinel. Across Africa and Asia, anti-poaching units now patrol with drones fitted with thermal cameras, scanning the dark savannas for movement invisible to the human eye. Artificial intelligence analyzes live footage, detecting patterns that betray illegal activity long before it reaches the animals. Combined with ground patrols and trained dogs that can detect ivory or animal hides, these tools have dramatically reduced poaching in many reserves. In India, AI-assisted systems monitor tiger sanctuaries around the clock. In Kenya, predictive models forecast likely poaching routes days in advance. It is a quiet revolution, machines working not to dominate nature, but to protect it. When drones hum gently over moonlit plains, they are not intruders. They are guardians keeping the silence safe. In captivity, another kind of preservation unfolds. Scientists at zoos and breeding centers manage genetic diversity among endangered big cats, carefully selecting which individuals should breed to avoid inbreeding and preserve healthy lineages. DNA mapping now allows researchers to track even the smallest genetic variations, ensuring that species like the Amur leopard and Sumatran tiger maintain resilience for generations to come. Some animals are exchanged internationally to broaden gene pools, creating what biologists call insurance populations, living archives that safeguard the essence of the species should the wild collapse. Though captivity can never replace the open freedom of wilderness, it serves as a vital biological vault, a quiet sanctuary for the blueprints of life. Every cub born in such care carries within it an unbroken chapter of evolution's fragile story. Beyond laboratories and sanctuaries, entire economies are learning that living predators are worth more than dead ones. In places where poverty and wildlife once collided, ecotourism has emerged as one of the most powerful tools for protection. When travelers journey across the world to see lions in the wild or tigers padding through forest trails, the money they spend flows back into local villages, schools, and ranger programs. Communities begin to see predators not as threats, but as partners. A lion alive becomes far more valuable than a lion hunted. Countries like Botswana, Namibia, and India have shown how sustainable tourism can transform fear into pride, weaving conservation into daily life. But the balance is delicate. Too much intrusion can drive the very creatures away. The best programs limit visitor numbers, train local guides, and ensure that profits remain close to the land. Done wisely, Ecotourism turns admiration into protection, binding human livelihood and animal survival together like roots beneath the same soil. Meanwhile, rewilding projects across the planet are daring to dream of restoration. Rewilding is the art of giving the wilderness back its missing pieces, reintroducing apex predators into landscapes that have forgotten their presence. In Kazakhstan, scientists are working to bring back the lost Caspian tiger using its Siberian cousin. In South Africa, lions and cheetahs have returned to grasslands silent for over a century. Each project begins with patience, rebuilding prey populations, preparing local communities, restoring corridors of green. But the rewards are astonishing. In India's Punna Tiger Reserve, the forest once lay empty, stripped of its last tiger. After years of effort, the big cats returned, and within a decade the trees thickened, the rivers ran clearer, and life returned in abundance. Rewilding does more than restore species. It restores time, memory, and connection between the land and its original heartbeat. It reminds us that loss does not always have to be final. Sometimes, nature only waits for an invitation to heal. Even sound itself has become a tool of conservation. Scientists have discovered that each roar, each call, is as unique as a fingerprint. By placing acoustic sensors in the wild, researchers now record these calls, mapping the presence and movement of individuals without the need for tracking collars or physical tags. Software listens through thousands of hours of recordings, identifying patterns and building soundscapes of life, an invisible web of communication humming through the wilderness. This method not only helps locate elusive cats but also measures the success of rewilding efforts, proving that sound can be both language and data. Every roar captured and analyzed becomes a heartbeat of the landscape, a proof of life echoing across valleys and plains. It's a gentle reminder that even silence carries memory, and that the wild still speaks to those who listen. In many ways, big cats have become ambassadors between worlds, the untamed and the human, the ancient and the modern. Few creatures command such universal awe. Their beauty, strength, and mystery transcend borders and beliefs, reaching something deep and primal within us. The same instincts that once made our ancestors fear the darkness now draw us toward its wonder. In an era where wild spaces shrink each year, big cats stand as living bridges between civilization and the untamed earth. To protect them is to protect everything woven into their shadow, the trees that shelter them, the rivers they drink from, the prey they depend upon, and the balance that holds the ecosystem together. When a traveler sees a tiger moving silently through forest light, or hears a lion's low rumble rolling across the plains, something ancient stirs inside, a recognition that we are not separate from the wild but born of it. Their story is our story. To save them is to save a piece of ourselves, to keep wonder alive in a world growing louder and dimmer. Even their fossils whisper of that bond. The bones of saber-toothed Smilodon, of the mighty cave lion, of forgotten cheetahs from Ice Age plains, all tell the same story of resilience, adaptation, and change. Through them, we learn how deeply the feline lineage has shaped evolution, how predators sculpted the path of life across time. By studying the wear on ancient teeth and the isotopes within fossilized bone, scientists can trace entire food webs that vanished tens of thousands of years ago. These remnants are not relics of death, but echoes of endurance, proof that across ages of ice and fire, the spirit of the big cats has persisted. And even now, in a world bound by satellites and city lights, they remain the living pulse of wilderness itself. Their future depends on our choices, our empathy, and our willingness to coexist. For as long as the roar continues, whether in forest, desert, or distant mountain, the wild will never truly fall silent, and the earth will remember how to breathe. DNA extracted from fossils shows unexpected relationships, revealing, for instance, that the modern lion is closely related to extinct Ice Age species that once roamed Alaska. Each fossil is a time capsule, a record of climates, prey, and migration routes. They show that big cats have survived ice ages, droughts, and continental shifts, adapting endlessly. The fossils whisper a quiet message: change is inevitable, but persistence can span epochs. Evolution isn't just progress, it's endurance written in bone. Ancient DNA reveals migrations that mirror human history. As scientists sequence ancient DNA from fossilized cats, remarkable parallels emerge between their movements and ours. Lions once spread across Africa, Europe, and Asia, following the same migration corridors early humans later traveled. During the Ice Age, lions crossed land bridges into North America just as people did. These overlapping timelines suggest that our species and theirs have shared landscapes and conflicts for over 100,000 years. Genetic studies show how isolation shaped regional adaptations. Cave lions grew larger in cold climates, while tigers diversified across Asia's forests. Tracing these migrations isn't just about cats, it's about understanding how ecosystems evolve alongside humanity. We were never alone on our journey. We've always walked in parallel with other apex species, watching each other, shaping each other's destinies across time's wide horizon. Big cats once roamed Europe, even as far north as Britain. During the last Ice Age, Europe was home to true lions. Thunderous, the cave lion, prowled from Spain to Siberia, hunting reindeer, horses, and bison. Fossils found in England and Germany prove that even the cold north was once its domain. Standing larger than modern lions, it bore faint striping and a shorter mane. Cave paintings in France's Chauvet Cave depict these lions with remarkable accuracy, some shown without manes, suggesting female hunters or perhaps different social roles. The extinction of cave lions around 13,000 years ago coincides with climate change and human expansion. The disappearance transformed Europe's ecosystems, leaving behind silence where thunder once echoed. Yet in art, they remain, painted in ochre and charcoal, testaments to a time when lions walked under northern stars and humankind was young. Cave paintings show that early humans feared and revered them. Some of the earliest art ever made features big cats. In France's Chauvet Cave, 20,000-year-old paintings depict lions hunting bison, drawn with astonishing precision. These weren't decorations, they were expressions of awe and understanding. Archaeologists believe such images reflected both reverence and fear, humans recognizing a rival predator yet admiring its grace. Across continents, similar depictions appear, from leopards in African rock art to tigers carved on ancient Chinese bones. These portrayals show that our relationship with big cats predates language itself. They were the first animals to inspire us to draw, to mythologize, to tell stories. Each brush stroke and carving carries the same unspoken message: we saw something magnificent and wanted to remember it. Art, in a way, began as humanity's first form of conservation, an attempt to keep what we feared might one day vanish. Their bones have been found beside ancient human shelters. Archaeological sites across Europe and Asia have uncovered bones of lions, leopards, and even tigers near prehistoric human settlements. Some were likely hunted for fur or meat, others appear to have been ritual offerings. In certain caves, lion remains rest beside human burials, suggesting spiritual connection rather than conflict. Scientists studying cut marks on these bones reveal how early humans viewed predators both as danger and resource. These finds blur the line between hunter and hunted, evidence that our ancestors lived within the same ecological web, not apart from it. The proximity of these remains reminds us that coexistence with large carnivores isn't new, it's an ancient negotiation stretching back tens of thousands of years, a conversation between species written in fossilized silence, now rediscovered bone by bone. Some Ice Age humans wore necklaces made of cat teeth. Across Ice Age Europe, archaeologists have uncovered necklaces fashioned from the teeth and claws of lions and leopards. Each piece was painstakingly drilled or grooved to be strung on sinew or fiber. These ornaments may have symbolized courage, status, or spiritual power, the wearer borrowing the essence of the predator. In some burials, children were interred with such necklaces, perhaps as protection in the afterlife. These objects blur the boundary between tool and talisman, art and identity. To hold one today is to feel a pulse of continuity, humans reaching for meaning through the symbols of the wild. The instinct to honor the predator by wearing a part of it may seem primitive, yet it reflects something timeless, an awareness that strength, beauty, and survival are threads in the same fabric. The lion's tooth around her neck was not just adornment, it was respect made visible. The word cat, itself has ancient roots shared across languages. Linguists trace the word back thousands of years through a web of connected tongues. The Latin catus became chat in French, gato in Spanish, and cat in Old Norse, all stemming from an earlier Afroasiatic root, likely Egyptian, reflecting how the first domesticated cats spread alongside human trade and culture. Ancient Egyptians revered felines so deeply that their word, caught, may have inspired the terms migration across continents. The linguistic journey mirrors our fascination with all cats, large and small. Even the mighty Panthera, used in scientific classification, carries echoes of Greek mythology, meaning all beasts. Words, like species, evolve and travel. That the name for these animals has survived nearly unchanged across millennia speaks to their enduring place in human thought, ever familiar, ever untamed, bound to us by sound as much as by history. The future of big cats depends on global cooperation. No single nation can save them alone. Their ranges cross borders, their threats span continents, and their fate is intertwined with climate, trade, and human expansion. Conservation today relies on international alliances, data-sharing networks, cross-border patrols, and collaborative legislation against wildlife trafficking. Programs like the Global Tiger Forum and the Panthera Foundation coordinate scientists and policymakers across dozens of countries. Even satellite imagery now helps track deforestation that affects habitats thousands of miles away. Cooperation between governments, local communities, and NGOs has already revived populations once thought doomed. The lesson is clear: big cats do not recognize borders, and neither can their protection. Saving them requires thinking at the scale of the planet itself, a shared responsibility stretching from village edge to policy table, guided by one common understanding: that the roar belongs to everyone. Every conservation success begins with awareness. Conservation begins not in forests or plains but in understanding, in the moment someone learns that their curiosity can help something wild survive. Awareness fuels action, supporting sanctuaries, reducing demand for animal products, or simply spreading truth instead of myth. Modern campaigns use social media and virtual experiences to connect people with species they may never see in person. A single shared image of a rescued tiger can spark donations that sustain entire programs. Scientists often say that saving big cats requires both biology and storytelling, the data and the dream. When people care, ecosystems heal faster. Awareness is contagious in the best possible way. The first step toward protecting the roar begins with listening, hearing it, valuing it, and passing it on so that others too may remember what wilderness sounds like. Their story is ultimately our own, a shared history of survival. For hundreds of thousands of years, humanity and big cats have lived side by side, rivals, companions, teachers. We feared them, painted them, hunted them, and eventually began to protect them. In their evolution, we glimpse our own adaptability, intelligence, resilience. We both rose from fragile beginnings to shape our world, each in our own way. Now, as wilderness dwindles, our fates are intertwined again. Whether they continue to roam free depends on whether we can coexist rather than conquer. To protect them is to protect a mirror of ourselves, the part that still remembers the pulse of the wild, the silence of the hunt, the awe of golden eyes meeting ours in twilight. Their survival is not just about saving animals. It's about preserving the ancient dialogue between humanity and nature, a conversation still worth continuing. And so, our quiet journey draws to a close. From the gold-lit savannas of Africa to the silent ridges of the Himalayas, we've followed pawprints through forests, across deserts, and into time itself. Everywhere they've walked, big cats have left echoes, not just in the soil, but in us. These animals are more than predators. They are architects of balance, shaping the rhythm of every landscape they touch. When a lion roars, it's the sound of the grasslands remembering who they belong to. When a snow leopard slips between clouds, it's the mountain breathing in silence. And when a tiger moves through the forest, even the wind seems to hold its breath. Their survival depends on us now, on how gently we tread, how carefully we listen. To save them is to protect something deep and wordless in ourselves, that ancient awareness of wildness, of life lived uncontained. Perhaps that's why we find peace in their presence. There's a kind of stillness in watching strength tempered by grace, a reminder that power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it moves quietly, leaving only the whisper of fur against wind. So, as the night settles around you, imagine the world they still inhabit, the pulse of the savannah under starlight, the hush of a jungle before dawn, the frost-blue breath of a mountain cat in the high air. Somewhere out there, those eyes still shine. The world is still alive with motion and mystery. If you enjoy these quiet journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. For now, just breathe. Let your thoughts wander like silent tracks through tall grass. Let your heartbeat slow to the rhythm of distant paws. And let the wild carry you gently into dreams, calm, untamed, and free. Good night.